Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Uchiha, Draw Your Swords. Cut Down the Konoha. Chapter 1. The new semester has just begun. Teacher Omu felt that his teaching career was facing challenges. Because on the first day of school, serious absenteeism occurred. There were actually 5 students absent from class. Let's talk about you two first. At this moment, Teacher Omu was sitting behind his desk, looking at the two brothers with serious eyes. According to student records, the spiky-headed boy on the left is Uchiha Obito, his younger brother. The short-haired boy on the right is called Uchiha Ruahuo, and he is the older brother. Brother, tell me first, why did you miss the first 2 classes today? Teacher, we encountered a special incident. Uchiha Ruahuo, a boy with a short head, said seriously. Special event. Teacher Omu frowned. We met several Hyuga classmates who were beaten. They were beaten very badly. We did good deeds and sent them to the hospital. A classmate who was beaten. Good people do good deeds. Send people to the hospital. Sent to the hospital. Teacher Omu narrowed his eyes, activated his skill, teacher's eye, and looked at the 2 brothers up and down. My brother is fine, he is very clean. But the younger brother who is an utter embarrassment and has half panda eyes. Combined with several other students who were absent from class, the identity of the Hyuga clan in the file. Teacher Omu rubbed his swollen eyebrows. Wakahuo, tell the truth to the teacher. Were you two the ones who beat up those Hyuga classmates? Teacher Omu emphasized the word, Hyuga, very strongly. Yes, Ruahuo answered simply. Then the case is solved. The Uchiha and Hyuga clans have always disliked each other. Students from these 2 wealthy families have always been competing with each other in school. Friction is normal. Among the graduates of the previous class, just before graduation, students from these 2 groups even had a date. It has always been the key task of all the teachers in the ninja school to guide the children of the 2 races to compete fairly in school and avoid private fights. But Teacher Omu never expected. The first grade class that I just taught this year can cause such a vicious incident on the first day of school. After dealing with these 2 brothers, Teacher Omu has to go to the hospital quickly. But the victim is Obito, sensei. Before Teacher Omu could speak, Ruahuo pointed at Obito's panda eyes and torn clothes. They were the ones who hit Obito first. I had no choice but to help Obito defend himself. But I didn't expect them to be that weak. So, Obito is the victim. I just sent the abuser to the hospital, sensei. Ruahuo spread his hands and told what happened. He went to school in the morning and halfway through, he forgot to bring his school bag, so he asked Obito to run errands and go back to get it. But he didn't see Obito back for a long time. If Huo felt something was wrong, he went back to look for him. As a result, I saw several Hyugas beating Obito halfway, which was extremely cruel. Can you bear this? He is Obito's eldest brother. So Wakahara grilled several Hyugas with fire style and sent them directly to the hospital. Teacher Omu opened his mouth. So in this fight, the elder brother had no choice but to take action in order to protect his younger brother. And even though he defeated his opponent, he still knew how to send people to the hospital, which is still a kind of good character. What the hell? People have been beaten to the hospital by you, and you still insist that your brother is the victim. Call. Teacher Omu took a deep breath, stood up immediately, and said in a serious tone. I'm going to the hospital now. You two must be honest with me in school, you know. These words were completely addressed to Ruahuo. Compared to his younger brother who looks a bit naive, Ruahuo, as the elder brother, is obviously more difficult to deal with. Don't worry, teacher. We, the Uchiha clan, hate evil very much. The reputation of the Konoha security department is known to everyone in the village. I will definitely help you maintain order in the classroom. Ruahuo said seriously. My brother is right. Obito also puffed up his chest, looking very proud. Teacher Omu felt a pain in his head. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there. Teacher Omu finally couldn't help but scolded. This is a ninja school. There are no evil people. There is no need to bring the things from the Konoha security department to the school. As soon as Teacher Omu finished speaking, he felt something was wrong. It's not that there's anything wrong with what he said, he just wants the 2 problem children to be honest. Mainly Ruahuo's reaction. Teacher, what do you think happened to the Konoha security department? Ruahuo's expression suddenly turned cold, and he took a big step forward to confront Damu directly. Since the establishment of Konoha, the Konoha security department has been committed to the security of the village and has not dared to slack off for many years. Teacher, what do you think of the Konoha security department? Still have any opinions about Uchiha? Ruahuo's voice became louder and louder, and his eyes became more and more dangerous. The other teachers in the office looked over one after another, with expressions of surprise. This first grader seems to be scolding the homeroom teacher. And it's still the first day of school. Not to mention other teachers, even Damu looked confused at the moment. I will report this matter to the patriarch. As soon as Teacher Omu said a word, he was blocked by Ruahuo. I will tell the clan leader that Mr. Oki, who is responsible for teaching the students of the ninja school, has extremely serious prejudice against the Uchiha clan. The teachers at the ninja school are all personally selected by Hokage-sama, right? So other teachers are like this too. Then it's Hokage-sama who is against Uchiha. Alright, seeing that Ruahuo's words were getting more and more outrageous, Damu immediately activated his body and hurriedly covered Ruahuo's mouth. Then he glanced at several juniors in the office. Several juniors understood this and hurriedly walked out of the office and closed the door. After confirming that the door was closed, Damu looked at Ruahuo. The boy's eyes were calm and serious. But Oki, who has been dealing with the children of ninja school for more than 10 years, saw the cunning in the eyes of the young man. At this moment, Teacher Omu immediately realized that he had been fooled. Those alarmist words should be just to cover up a serious incident where they beat someone to the hospital. Why is this kid so scheming? So, you beat some of them very seriously, right? Damu then let go of Ruahuo and said with a big head. The victim is Obito, teacher. Ruahuo emphasized. I know. Damu rubbed his eyebrows again. You acted bravely and protected your brother. You were right. Having learned from the past, how could Damu dare to say something like, no matter what, fighting is wrong? Oni-chan is awesome. Oni-chan is right. Obito also agreed. Teacher Omu's head is getting bigger. Anyway, you should stay well at school now. How will this matter be handled in the end? I will report it to you truthfully. Damu emphasized the word, truthfully. Besides, there are still some things that need Teacher Omu's help. Ruahuo raised his hand. Teacher Omu raised his eyebrows. The way this kid raised his hands to speak now looked a bit like a student. Our lunch was spilled by them during the fight. Please tell Mr. Omu the parents of the other party and ask them to compensate. Ruahuo said seriously. In addition, there is Obito's beating fee, mental damage fee, my chakra consumption fee, and the rescue fee for carrying people to the hospital. Saying that, regardless of Daemu's increasingly gloomy expression, Ruahuo raised 2 fingers. Please calculate the mental damage fee into 2 parts. I will forget it, but Grandma will definitely feel distressed when she sees Obito like this. Grandma is the most important person to me and Obito. Even the Fugaku clan leader respects Grandma. It makes her feel distressed and the cost is very high. Damu asked several colleagues to help keep an eye on the class when he left. Especially those 2 Uchiha brats. Then he hurried to Konoha Hospital. Ruahuo and Obito followed a teacher and went to the school doctor's office first. The school doctor's sister is a middle-aged young woman, who should be a few years older than Ruahuo in her previous life. She has a beautiful face, a woman's unique charm, a plump figure, and a wedding ring on the ring finger of her right hand. She fits one of Ruahuo's favorite types in her previous life. But considering his age and still developing, coupled with the pile of tasks in the system. So Ruahuo stood obediently at the door of the school doctor's office, waiting with the teacher responsible for keeping an eye on him. With nothing to do, Ruahuo opened his exclusive interface for time travelers in his mind. The stronger my clan members are, the better my system will be. Name: Uchiha Ruahuo. Gender: male. Age: 6.5 years old. Main plane identity number: 168 1314. Current plane: Hokage Ninja World. Bound family: Uchiha clan. Current overall strength evaluation of the family: A. Received family reward E. Fire Style Little Genius. You can always learn Fire Style Ninjutsu quickly. The number of Fire Style Ninjutsu reserves can increase the reward level. Your Fire Style Ninjutsu enjoys a 30% power increase. Obtained family reward D. Single Magatama Sharingan. Your Sharingan level depends on the strength of your family. Completing family tasks can unlock stronger blood inheritance limits, with the upper limit being Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Family reward C. Has not been obtained. Please complete the family task. In the name of Uchiha, become the chief student of Konoha Ninja School, and break the early graduation record. For half a year, you need to prove that the Uchiha family's talent is the best. Family reward B. Has not been obtained. Please complete the family task. Be promoted to Konoha Chunin. Although Wanian Genin sounds powerful, it is an evil path after all. Family reward A. Has not been obtained. Please complete the family task. Join the root Anbu, and obtain the position of squad leader or above. Please penetrate into Konoha and help the family shine. Personal skill panel. Not unlocked. Need to complete C-level family tasks. Personal attribute panel. Not unlocked. Requires completion of B-level family tasks. In fact, before time travel, Ruahuo still had a chance to choose. The options at the time were Senju from the Second Ninja War, Uchiha from 5 years ago, and Hyuga from Konoha 48. Senju is too dangerous, and the plot during the Second Ninja War is completely blank. Without the power of the 10-year-old to destroy the ninja world, it would probably be a mess. Hyuga is too weak. What kind of future can there be for a people who carve caged birds on their foreheads? Even if you dig out the eyes of all the tribesmen, you can get a reincarnation eye, but why bother? He had to deal with the caged birds and dig out their eyes one by one. He was not a pervert. Wakaka feels that Uchiha at this stage is pretty good. The strength of the entire clan is on the rise, and the eradication of the clan is still far away, and there is also a lot of room for maneuver. So the Uchiha clan was bound. The function of the system is the same as the name of the system. The stronger the clan members are, the better I am. Depending on the overall strength of the Uchiha clan, you will receive rewards every time you reach a stage and complete stage tasks. Today, the Uchiha clan is rated A level. It contains 5 levels of ABCDE, and the tasks from C level to A level are somewhat similar to those before Itachi's rebellion and cannot be completed for the time being. However, the 2 lowest levels do not require completion of tasks. This means that Ruahuo starts with a pair of single Magatama, plus the buff of a fire-style genius. It's a pity that I can't be older. The baby start still delays things. The identity arranged by the system is that of an abandoned baby. At 2 years old, he was thrown directly into the world without any sense of responsibility. But Ruahuo is very lucky. Obito's grandma went up the mountain to collect firewood and happened to meet her. Grandma was kind-hearted and took Ruahuo home, raising her with Obito, whose parents had recently died. Life must have been a bit bitter, but Ruahuo also felt a family affection that he had never experienced in his previous life. In his previous life, he had a father who was a director who served the people, and a strong woman mother who was a business tycoon. Rabbit conquered the 7 continents. He grew up separated by the Pacific Ocean from his parents since he was a child. He has longed for family affection since he was a child. However, Ruahuo has liked to watch retro cartoons since he was a child, such as Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf, Bears, or some hot-blooded cartoons from Jiaobao City, Sea of Death and so on. Especially the story of Hokage Ninja and Black Zetsu rescuing his mother is really exciting. So I am relatively familiar with the plot lines of this world. The strength curve of the Uchiha clan should have reached its final peak in the 6 months after Shisui's death. Wakahuo thought to himself, 6 Mangekyo should have an S, right? In the original time and space, after the night of genocide, it was Uchiha's darkest period. There were only 2 left in the whole clan, but fortunately they were all men. Zoliangna was born more than 10 years later, so the fire problem was saved. Certainly. It's only Konoha's 40th year, and there are 2 little villains who have exterminated the clan. One calls him Big Brother, and the other is not even born yet. There is still a lot of room for operation. And, even if he ignores the system tasks, just for Grandma's sake, Ruahuo will not let the tragedy happen. Well, If Madara identifies Obito, then there are still 6 years left. 6 years, almost. It is now the preparatory stage for the Third Ninja War. After 2 years, it will enter the warm-up stage, a big melee among the major ninja villages. It will enter the official stage in 2 years. The entire ninja world will form a team to beat Konoha, and Uchiha will be able to appear. By then, at least Fugaku will be able to unlock a pair of Mangekyo. If he completes the task from C to A, each task only gives 1 Magatama, and that is enough for Mangekyo. Barely able to reach an S. After completing the S-class family mission, the entire Eternal Mangekyo, it should be enough to defeat the elderly Madara. I just don't know if it's too late for Fugaku to open his eyes. There will also be an S-level mission, I hope it won't be too outrageous. With this in mind, Obito walked out of the infirmary. The panda eyes were cured, but the torn clothes on his body made Obito still look a little embarrassed. As the eldest brother, Ruahuo became more and more uncomfortable, so he turned to look at the teacher next to him. "Teacher, can you lend my brother the vest you are wearing for a day?" This teacher is obviously a newcomer, a junior of teacher OMU, and he has witnessed Ruahuo's lethal power in the office just now. Just when he was hesitating whether to agree or not, Ruahuo's combo punch had arrived. Obito is a student of ninja school. He experienced school violence, which led to his current embarrassing appearance. What we, the Uchiha clan, value most, thank you sensei. Please remember to return it to me tomorrow. I just got a vest when I took office. The young teacher said weakly. Please rest assured that we, the Uchiha clan, will avenge our enemies and repay our kindness. In the future, Obito will repay the teacher for today's kindness. Ruahuo helped his stupid brother put on his vest. It's a bit big and looks like a gown. I simply left the zipper unzipped, which looks quite fashionable. After putting on his vest, Ruahuo patted the back of Obito's head. Why don't you thank the teacher yet? Thank you, teacher. Obito bowed 90 degrees and shouted loudly. No. It's okay. The teacher scratched his head, feeling a little sense of accomplishment for some reason. These brothers don't seem that scary. By the way, teacher, Obito was beaten very badly. Fortunately, the seniors in the school doctor's office have superb medical skills, otherwise there may be many problems left. Hyuga may confront us in the next 2 days, and we will ask the teacher to help us testify. Ruakaya Jien said. Of course, if the teacher is afraid of the Hyuga clan, he can also choose to pretend not to know. It's just me, the Uchiha clan. Okay. The teacher was almost sweating. I will report everything that happened today truthfully, okay. I was late on the first day of school because of a fight. I was delayed for a while because I went to the infirmary for treatment. By the time Wakahara and Obito arrived in the classroom, the bell rang for the 4th period. The person in charge of substitute teaching was also the teacher who took the 2 of them to the school doctor's office. Ruahuo and Obito followed the teacher to the podium. Because the teacher came late, and there were only children in the 1st grade of ninja school, the classroom was in a mess. The young teacher had little experience, maybe because he was not wearing a vest, so he said, "Quiet," several times in a row, but it obviously had no effect. Ruahuo frowned. They, Uchiha, are most disgusted with this chaotic phenomenon. Everyone, please be quiet. Ruahuo slapped his palm on the podium. The effect of this voice was really good. The classroom immediately became quiet, and even the teacher next to me was startled. Ruahuo looked around the audience and stayed on some acquaintances for half a second. Especially the white one. Let me introduce myself. My name is Uchiha Wakahu, and this is my younger brother, Uchiha Obito. We all come from the Uchiha clan, the oldest ninja clan in the ninja world. Obito's back straightened instantly. Feel sorry. Ruahuo said suddenly. The sudden apology immediately put doubts in the eyes of the students, and even the teacher next to them was a little confused. Is this guy also the type to apologize? I'm very sad. Because on the way to school today, I met a few Hunden who bullied my classmates, and I casually sent them to the hospital, causing us to be late. It's wrong to be late, but teacher OMU praised me. Ignoring the weird expression of the teacher next to him, Ruahuo said seriously. He also asked me to act as the monitor of the class. Senior OMU didn't say that. He absolutely didn't. The substitute teacher next to me glanced at him from the corner of his eye and screamed crazily in his heart. But I just don't dare to say a word. Violence on campus is not allowed. We, the Uchiha family, hate evil very much and we can't bear to bully others the most. From today on, if students are threatened, please tell me as soon as possible. Ruahuo waved his hand. As the squad leader, I will carry out justice to the end and protect the safety of my classmates. This impassioned speech instantly conquered the entire class of primary school students. Especially girls. It's definitely not because Ruahuo is too handsome, they just like this kind of monitor who is willing to protect his classmates. As a result, many students joined in support. Monitor. 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 What kind of monitor is he? The substitute teacher almost went crazy. He beat people until they were hospitalized, and threatened teacher Omu and me, 3 times in total. Didn't the classmates realize that he had snatched all my vests? Quiet. Ruahuo pressed down with both hands. Many students have already recognized this monitor, especially the female students, and the classroom gradually became quiet. Teacher Omu, please arrange the seats. Please cooperate with me, students. After all, this is my first task as the monitor. Ruahuo said in a fake tone, and then pointed at a male classmate. That classmate, yes, is your little 4 eyes. You are myopic at such a young age. What should you do when you become a ninja in the future? We must protect our eyesight in school and try to adjust it before graduation. Come and sit in front, there are still spaces here. When his name was called, Shaozi stood up immediately and walked to the front very cooperatively. Obito, come over. Ruahuo pointed in the direction of Nohara-Lin and said. Although she is not Ruahuo's type, Miss Renline is also quite kind. It's perfect for opening Obito's eyes. Uchiha Madara's plan is too evil, but the effect is good and the direction is right. Ruahuo has a new version of the eye-opening plan. One day in the future, the moon will be dark and the wind will be high, and there will be murder and arson. Obito returned home and saw Nohara-Rin being held in his arms by his Oni-chan, disheveled and unconscious. My stupid Odudu, this girl, is so smooth. Hiss. This must not be done on the spot Mangekyo. Obito trotted all the way and sat next to Nohara-Rin. Nohara-Rin just moved her position slightly and gave Obito another smile, but Obito couldn't stand it anymore. A small face immediately turned red, and every hair on the hedgehog's head seemed to be shy. Hello, Obito-kun, my name is Nohara-Lin, please take care of me. Hello, Obito replied shyly and sat down. Ruahuo raised his eyebrows. I sent a wave of benefits to the stupid brother Odudu, and now it's my turn. Although they are all primary school students, Ruahuo is not that beastly. But it seems that there is something to be said for developing a girlfriend. Ruahuo is a serious person. A decent person would naturally not let a cute girl become a widow. And she got pregnant out of wedlock, which is simply immoral. Then the decision is yours. That guy who looks a lot like Mr. Third Generation, spit out the toothpick in your mouth first. If you dare to hold a toothpick in your mouth now, you will dare to smoke in the future. Smoking in public places, do you still have a sense of morality? Konoha Hospital. Teacher Omu doesn't know yet, but his class has turned into the shape of Ruahuo. When he arrived, the corridor was already filled with Hyuga's clan members. Although the leader was young, he had an extraordinary temperament. He stood so quietly, but he had the aura of a powerful person. This should be the recently succeeded head of the Hyuga clan. Single quote. Teacher Omu's head is even bigger, why is this person so alarmed? But now that the matter has come to this, he can only bite the bullet and go to negotiate. But before he got close, Mr. Omu was stopped by 2 Hyugas with their hands outstretched. Who? I am Aoba Oki, the teacher of the ninja school. I am the teacher of those children. The attitude of the 2 Hyugas was a bit too strong, which made teacher Oki feel a little unhappy, but he could only be unhappy. Hyuga, after all, is Konoha's super family. Let him come. At this time, Hyuga Hiyashi, who was not far away, spoke faintly. The 2 Hyugas then let them go. This is a hospital, not you Hyuga clan. If you can help it, don't let the doctor come. Teacher Omu cursed in his heart, but still walked up. To put it bluntly, the reputation of the Hyuga clan is not that bad. But thanks to a certain new student, Teacher Omu's day was not going well, so he was not in a good mood either. I am Hyuga Hiyashi, the head of the family of these children. When OMU approached, Hyuga Hiyashi spoke. I have a general understanding of the situation. It was these children who started the provocation, but their skills were inferior to others and they had to be sent to the hospital afterwards. This is an oversight in the discipline of my Hyuga clan. Hyuga Hiyashi paused. I would also like to ask you to convey my gratitude to those two children. If they hadn't sent them to the hospital in time, these children might have lost the qualification to become ninjas in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, a Hyuga next to him walked over and took out an envelope full of banknotes. Judging from the thickness, it should be quite a lot. But these children probably won't go to ninja school for the time being. When they recover from their injuries, they will need some special training to regain their lost dignity. I will inform you today and please convey it to you as well. After saying that, Hyuga Hiyashi walked past Ogi. A group of Hyuga also left. OMU looked at the envelope in his hand and frowned gradually. Having taught for many years, he knew the styles of these big families. The last thing they allow is for the dignity of the family to be provoked. Special training after recovering from injuries. Looking at the closed ward door, Damu sighed, always feeling that for these children. It's also a little too cruel. Also, the bigger the family, the more ruthless it is. By comparison, the difficult pair of Uchiha brothers, but. Tisk. Damu shook his head. He was really angry. He actually thought those two brothers were pretty good. What a ghost. You have to go back to school quickly. But, it seems like the two brothers didn't have lunch, right? Forget it, let's bring a lunch, after all, it's time to grow. I hope you can be more honest in the future after eating the food brought by the teacher. Little devil. Wow, so much money. Noon, office. Looking at Obito who was like a money addict, Ruahuo suddenly remembered Guan Exege's classic sayings. I was in my teens or 20s at that time. Of course I thought I was very handsome. Wow, with so much money, I would buy a Ferrari first. Huh, isn't this the code name that will be added to Anbu in the future? Please call me Konoha Edison. This is what the Hyuga clan chief asked me to pass on to you, saying thank you for sending the person to the hospital. Teacher Omu also gave 2 portions of ramen to Ruohuo, this is lunch for you too. Teacher Omu deliberately did not say anything about finding dignity. As a teacher, he doesn't want his children to be under too much pressure. Let Hokage-sama make the decision. After all, this is the first time such a serious thing has happened. Wow, ramen. Obito next to him was excited again. Ruohuo took the lunch with a strange expression. So the head of the Hyuga family only paid for us to take the person to the hospital. What about the other expenses? My chakra usage fee, Obito's beating fee, and grandma's mental damage fee. Almost done. The frequency of Damu breaking defenses today even surpassed that of when he first became a teacher. Then he saw Ruohuo's brows gradually frowning. Taking a deep breath, Damu adjusted his hand. Okay, you go to eat first. Anyway, I will report this matter to the superiors. As for your request, I will report it as well. Boy, if you have the ability, ask Master Hokage to help you collect mental damages. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. Ruohuo also knows what Mr. Omu's abilities are, and this can be used as a reference for Iruka in the future. There is absolutely no need to make things difficult for others, just look for opportunities to defend your rights in person. He is Uchiha, the future boss of Konoha's security department. Isn't it easy to maintain personal rights? By the way, teacher, I am now the class monitor. This was elected by my classmates. Before leaving, Ruohuo reminded, although I repeatedly declined, the students still think it would be better for me to be the monitor. Perhaps everyone thinks that Uchiha, who is responsible for security in Konoha, is more reliable. Quote. Teacher Omu looked at his junior silently. The younger generation just ate their lunch with their heads down and looked shameless. Besides, Ruohuo suddenly remembered something. Since I am now the class president, please tell Teacher Omu that I am the chief student of the first grade as soon as possible. Why are you the chief again? Damu rubbed his increasingly painful eyebrows and said with the last patience, the chief student needs to pass the assessment. You have to be among the best in both practical and cultural classes to become the chief student. It's just your first day of school, how come? Boom. Before he finished speaking, he had already left. Damu sighed and looked at his junior faintly. Noma. Can you tell me how he came to be the squad leader? On the other side, Ruahuo and Obito came to the rooftop and ate the ramen Mr. Oki brought them. Brother, my ramen has one more egg than yours. This is for you. Obito said as he was about to put eggs into Wakahuo's bowl. Ruahuo's face darkened and he refused decisively. Tuzi, you are growing, you'd better eat it by yourself. Oh well, looking at Obito swishing ramen into his mouth, Ruahuo always felt as if he had raised a mentally retarded younger brother. Can you believe that this guy could become the number 3 boss in the ninja world in the original time and space? One thing to say, although there aren't many plots about the boy Obito in memoirs, he doesn't feel that silly, right? Is it because I have a super handsome and charming brother in my life? It can only be like this. Ruahuo raised his eyebrows, and then looked at the other side, a white-haired man who was chewing a rice ball and pretending that he hadn't looked over just now. Kakashi also had lunch on the rooftop. The current sea-level mission, to put it bluntly, is to break Kakashi's graduation record and at the same time compete for the top student position. To put it simply, defeat Kakashi and graduate directly. Nothing wrong. Hey, little white hair, were you peeking at me just now? Quote. Kakashi choked. Little white hair, what a weird name. Speaking of which, this squad leader seems to like to call others contemptuous names. I call my classmate who wears glasses Xiaoxian, and asthma as Xiaoyalian, and now. Doesn't he know that slander is also a form of school violence? But this guy seems to have a sense of justice. Even though I called others little 4 eyes, I also let them sit in the front row so that they could easily read the blackboard. Asma likes the bad habit of holding toothpicks in her mouth, and I feel that she will develop into smoking in the future. Gee, this squad leader is so difficult to evaluate. I'd better go back and ask Dad tonight. Hey, didn't you hear what I was talking to you, you little white-haired fish-eyed guy? Come here. Seeing that Kakashi didn't respond, Ruahuo's voice became much louder. Seeing this, Obito didn't finish chewing the ramen in his mouth quickly. Come here. Quote. Kakashi rolled his eyes. He has been practicing with his father since he was a child. He has seen the world of elite ninjas early on, and he does not want to be like the two of them. However, the stairs were relatively close to the two of them. Kakashi felt that he might be blocked when going downstairs normally, so he prejudged the operation. After finishing the last bite of the rice ball, Kakashi calmly put away the lunchbox, gave the two of them a standard middle finger, and then jumped lightly. He actually jumped directly from the rooftop of a 6-story building. Of course Kakashi didn't just jump off the building out of hesitation. He was so light that he first landed on the window edge of the 5th floor, then jumped onto the water pipe, grabbed the water pipe with one hand, and slid down. Not to mention, these silky movements are a bit cool. At least that's what Obito thinks. Wow, he is so handsome, brother. Quote. Ruahuo looked at Obito with a little more pity. So all the Odudo in the ninja world have stupid attributes, right? Don't move around here. Finish your ramen before going downstairs. Remember to take the stairs. Since Kakashi used his middle finger to send the request for a duel, how could Ruaka not accept the challenge? I saw Ruahuo jumping directly onto the rooftop railing and leaping into the air. At this moment, Ruahuo Joe entity experienced a sense of freedom that he could not experience in his previous life. It is different from high-altitude sports that require equipment assistance such as skydiving and bungee jumping. The height of these 6 floors is not low, but Ruahuo is sure of landing safely. Just get close to the ground. Fire-style Great Fireball Plus. Ode. He spit out high-temperature flames from his mouth, and the powerful impact briefly reacted on himself. Ruahuo forcibly slowed down in the air, and then landed steadily. At this time, Kakashi slid to the 2nd floor. Looking at Ruahuo, who was riding on the fire wave and came first, his whole little face was stunned. Is this guy crazy? Little Bai Mao, you shouldn't provoke Uchiha. After showing off the operation, Ruahuo crossed his hands across his chest and said coolly. The practical class in the afternoon is a good one. Ruahuo wouldn't fight privately in school, or block the door after school. That's what bad boys do. As a righteous Uchiha, rejecting school violence starts with me. In a blink of an eye, the first class of the afternoon came. Practical experience class. On the first day of school, the main focus is an experience. Teacher Omu led a group of children around the wooden pile and gave each child a few shurikens to throw up. Here you can distinguish the difference between civilians and families. For a child from the ninja clan, when drawing lots, the only thing he might have is a detonating charm or a shuriken. It's naturally easy to throw, and at least the hit rate is high. Children from civilian backgrounds will be happy for a long time if they can hit the target once. If they go to the battlefield in the future, they will most likely be cannon fodder. It is worth mentioning that, in this life, Obito has been exposed to a lot of ninja knowledge since childhood because Ruahuo is very interested in practicing Gon and practicing Jong. All 5 shuriken shots were fired, and 2 of them hit the bullseye. Perhaps this result can only be regarded as average, but it is still much better than the previous life. Whoosh whoosh. Kakashi threw several shurikens one after another, and all of them hit the target. Wow, Kakashi-kun said that so well. I hit them all. As the monitor the only one left. I'm really looking forward to it. If I were the squad leader, I would definitely get all the marks. After all, Kakashi also became the #1 beauty in the first grade class of the ninja school in 3 classes, and received a lot of cheers. Then the squad leader Guan Ziche came on stage. The appearance of the Uchiha family never disappoints. Although Ruahuo's short hair is incompatible with other Uchiha, it adds a sense of domineering while still being aloof. Brother, give it. Obito was so upset that he took the shuriken back, which he often did. Ruahuo didn't throw it away in a hurry, but looked at Kakashi. Since there is a huge gap between you and me, and my duty as monitor is to protect my classmates. So before the battle begins later, I will give you some information. Ruahuo played with the shuriken in his hand. Look carefully, shuriken, shoot like this. Whoosh. The 5 shurikens were fired almost at the same time, and even the sound of breaking through the air was almost the same. However, there are slight differences in the direction of the launch. These differences are magnified countless times after advancing a certain distance. The 5 shurikens collide with each other and change their arcs. Bang bang bang. After locking for the second time, all the shurikens finally hit the target, but they were lined up and hit every area accurately. Wow, as expected of the monitor, he's so handsome. The squad leader's shuriken skills are so good, it's a neat one. What should I do? On the left is Kakashi-kun and on the right is the monitor. It's so hard to choose. Sharingan, the sooner you open it, the better. Although there is only a single Magatama. But Ruahuo started throwing stones with Sharingan at the age of 2. Now that I have practiced, even if I don't use Sharingan, I can still shoot wherever I want. Ouch, what a brat. Teacher Omu smiled and shook his head, but he was not surprised by Wakahui's shuriken skills. The unexpected period of time has long passed. After this morning, OMU has also seen a teacher with a big world. Do collisions change the orbit? This requires rigorous calculations and precise control of strength. Single quote. Kakashi frowned and looked at the target. He had practiced with his father since he was a child. He knew how difficult Ruahuo's skill was. Not that he couldn't do it. It just takes a lot of time to practice. And since he started practicing with his father, the direction of his practice has always been Hitaki swordsmanship. Looking at Ruahuo again, Kakashi's eyes finally became more serious. Kakashi, who has not experienced darkness yet, is still a little boy after all. There is still a bit of a desire to win in me. What a coincidence. Although the soul is an adult, Ruahuo, who enjoys this time travel journey, is also a full-fledged teenager in mentality. It is said that in the early stage, Kakashi definitely took the template of the protagonist. He graduated in half a year and Chunin in half a year. When he was Chunin in the same period, this guy was already a Jonin. Ruahuo started with a single Magatama, which took 4 years to adapt to and practice for 4 years. Just compare yourself with this protagonist to see what level you are at. Okay, next is the actual combat training. Kakashi and Wakahui stay, the other students spread out. Damyu had long noticed the tit-for-tat confrontation between the two brats. Not only did he not stop him, but he also had the good sense to help. One is Lord White Fang's son. One is the talented Uchiha boy. Both kids are clearly geniuses. Compete with each other, promote each other, and maybe become partners in the future. It's a pity. Originally, there were still positions for the 3 Hyuga students in this competition plan. I don't know how Mr. Third Generation will handle this incident. Single quote. Damyu was thinking in his mind, and after seeing that the two people had consciously formed a seal of opposition, he also gave the order, start. Whoosh. Teacher Omu left the field in an instant. And the next second, whoosh. The two teenagers started at the same time, and their right forearms collided together. The power is not beneath me. Kakashi made a quick judgment in his mind. It's faster than me. Ruahuo also discovered the problem. According to where they were when the two collided, Kakashi was indeed half a step ahead of him. It doesn't make sense. You usually catch hares with your soil, and you don't practice sprinting too much. Ruahuo is not very convinced. This is even more true for Kakashi. He has been practicing swordsmanship since he was a child, but his strength is not superior to his peers. What a joke. Kakashi, who had a coefficient of 20%, attacked again and hit Ruahuo with a knee. Ruahuo, who was a little depressed just now, almost laughed. When he and Obito usually dominated the Uchiha neighborhood, Obito liked to use this trick when fighting with others. However, the knee push was just a feint, and Obito's real, killing move, was actually stepping on his toes. Boom! Ruahuo pressed down with one hand, forcibly holding Kakashi's knee, and then stretched out a small hook foot from the lower body, trying to destroy Kakashi's balance. Kakashi didn't sit still and used his free left hand to hit Ruahuo with his fist. Even if he fell down in 0.5 seconds, it wouldn't be a loss. Ruahuo had no intention of being hit by an electric cannon. Kakashi was half a minute faster than him and had the upper hand. He was already passive in this attack and defense. Then let's fight again in 2 rounds. Wakahui's way of ending the round was also simple and crude, a headbutt, avoiding the swing of punches, and hitting Kakashi's nose directly. This madman. The forehead was much harder than the nose. Kakashi used his knees again and used the reaction force to retreat quickly to avoid Wakahui's headbutt. The two distanced themselves. Kakashi took out a kunai. Wakaka also revealed the Sharingan. Teacher Omu cheered up, fearing that the two little guys would be injured. The scene was completely silent, and the students even forgot to cheer. The two handsome guys in the class were so awesome. It was Obito who broke the silence with his voice. Brother, burn him. Ruahuo's mouth curled up slightly. Although Obito doesn't look very smart, he has grown up with him and dominated the Uchiha children's circle for 4 years. There is indeed a tacit understanding. He also had kunai and even shurikens in his ninja bag. But why not use it? Of course, it's time to form seals and release skills. Ruahuo quickly formed seals with his hands, thanks to the magical pen-turning skill in his previous life. With Sharingan's blessing, Ruahuo's hand speed was so fast that it turned into an afterimage. So fast. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect Ruahuo to form the seal so quickly and it was too late to interrupt. You can only retreat to gain buffer space and throw away the kunai at the same time, and make seals with both hands quickly. Fire style Great Fireball. Earth style Wall. The fireball and the earth wall collided together as if destined by fate. It's just that the earthen walls of Kakashi don't have dog heads yet. And his opponent is not Obito. But the man Obito called his big brother for 4 years. Ode. The Art of Great Fireball. As the first and only fire-style ninjutsu mastered by Wakahui. With years of practice and the blessing of the fire-style little genius, Ruahuo has long been trained to the extreme. Perhaps limited by his body, the power of this technique cannot be so outrageous. But Wakashi, who had long known that Kakashi would use earth style to defend, was able to change the form of the great fireball through slight adjustments. The total consumption of chakra remains unchanged, and the overall power remains unchanged. But it has expanded its scope and far exceeds Kakashi's earthen wall. In a word, the great fireball is hollow. In this way, you can spread out directly when encountering resistance, then bypass the earth wall and continue to attack forward. Tie the motor. Teacher Oki secretly cursed, almost forgetting about the 3 Hyuga students. They were all roasted into the hospital by fire style. But Omu's teleportation was only halfway activated, and due to his vision, he stopped again. Hey, this young man, as expected of Lord Whitefang's son, are you ready? Puff. The fire wave devoured the earth wall and also hit Kakashi. But Kakashi's body turned into a branch. This is knowledge that the ninja school will only be exposed to next week, the substitution technique. Kakashi didn't know when he had arrived on the branch of the big tree behind him, and broke a branch to replace the weapon. There was no way, the only kunai I carried with me had been thrown away. Kakashi is a student now, so he can't put so many weapons in his ninja bag. As Whitefang's son, using tree branches is too cheap, right? Ruahuo showed the demeanor that a strong man should have at this time. He threw a kunai directly to Kakashi, and he picked up the one Kakashi had left on the ground. Although Ruahuo really wanted to have a fair fight with Kakashi so that he could test himself. But in fact, this wave is not a loss. The kunai he threw to Kakashi has been used for many years. The price of ninja tools is not cheap. He and Obito only have this one at home. He has been using it all the time, and it is almost worn out. Kakashi felt something strange as soon as I got it. Why is it so light? Take a closer look, good guy. Except for the handle, the entire kunai has obviously been polished frequently, and it looks a lot smaller than the normal kunai. But Kakashi didn't say anything. The other party can throw kunai to him, which is at least better than him using branches. I apologize for my previous provocation, Uchiha Wakohu. Kakashi jumped down from the tree and said seriously. But no matter what, please be careful next time. Kakashi assumed an offensive stance. The single Magatama in Ruahuo's eyes locked Kakashi tightly. He hooked the kunai with one finger and rotated it, looking indifferent. Don't you understand yet, Kakashi? The gap between you and me cannot be bridged by a kunai. You don't even want to call me monitor. Then I won't give in anymore. Joke. No matter how talented Kakashi is, can he avoid Sharingan's dynamic vision? Shan Magatama, he is also a Sharingan easy to defeat. Call. Kakashi took a deep breath. Now that the matter has come to this, it is inconvenient for him to say anything more. Fight. Whoosh. Kakashi rushes to attack. Hatake swordsmanship is all about preemptive strike. Wakahuo looked relaxed on the surface, but in fact he was 100% focused. Shan Magatama locked onto Kakashi's movements and secretly wrote them down in a small notebook. This is the Hatake sword technique that has been passed down from generation to generation. In the future, when Whitefang commits suicide and Kakashi becomes autistic, the story will be lost. What you can take a look at is a glance, and what you can learn is a little. Ping. Kakashi's attack was fierce, with the kunai and forearm at a 30 degrees angle, slashing down horizontally. Wakahuo's speed is not an advantage, but Sharingan has the effect of seizing the opportunity. Wakahuo sets up a kunai to block in time. Kakashi changed his attack from splitting to teasing, and also added a turning whip kick. Ruahuo saw an opportunity, gave up blocking, turned sideways and lowered his waist, perfectly evading. Kakashi changed his moves one after another. Ruahuo responded again. The battle between the two completely turned into a contest between sword skills and Sharingan. Ruahuo was able to do it with ease, but his single Magatama was limited by the completion of the task, and he could only maintain a single Magatama for 4 years. However, the accumulation of experience, adaptation and proficiency with these eyes are not limited by the system. His consumption is not much, which is the amount he usually catches rabbits. But Kakashi tried his best, and every time he swung the sword, his physical strength would plummet. And just when Kakashi had used up all his combos and made no achievements, he was out of breath. Ruahuo's little notebook gradually recorded a set of roughly systematic sword techniques. The power is clearly greater than mine, but why has he been hiding? Kakashi pulled away temporarily, panting, feeling a little bad. Do you know why the Uchiha clan is the strongest in Konoha? Suddenly, Ruahuo said softly. Kakashi didn't want to bother talking, as that would disrupt his current breathing rhythm and affect his recovery. But you have to respond to show respect. Nodding is not appropriate, so you can only shake your head. And this time shaking his head also helped Ruahuo successfully pretend to be a perfect beep. Because in front of these eyes, the enemy's weaknesses will be magnified without limit. And the advantage of the enemy. Everything will become nourishment for these eyes. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Ruahuo picked up the kunai and rushed towards Kakashi, united his sword and elbow, and slashed down from top to bottom. Kakashi's pupils shrank. This was clearly his move. He quickly brought up the kunai to block, but Ruahuo changed his move again, from slashing to sweeping. Even the changed move was the one Kakashi had just used. Ping! Kakashi blocked the attack, but his eyes were filled with shock. Ping! If Huo attacks again, Kakashi can only block in a hurry. Ping! The knife was already only half an inch away from Kakashi's neck. Kakashi blocked it with many narrow escapes, and a touch of panic appeared in his eyes. Not only did he see his own shadow in the other person, I even found that the other party seemed to slow down his movements deliberately, as if he was waiting for him. That's it, Kakashi. Ruahuo put away the kunai and put it directly into his pocket, while forming the seal of reconciliation. Kakashi was a little distracted. Looking at the smile on Ruahuo's face, Kakashi breathed out and finally formed a seal of reconciliation. I lost. Monitor. Kakashi lost. Tsukumo. Hokage building. Hokage office. Third generation turned off the crystal ball and smiled at White Fang in front of him. Haha. White Fang was neither disappointed nor worried. Instead, he laughed out loud and cheerfully. This kid usually looks like he has no desires, but actually he always thinks he is very powerful. I was worried about how to get him to take up the profession of ninja, but now it's better, haha. Ninja school is indeed a place to educate people. Third generation also smiled. There is nothing more gratifying than watching the little guys in Konoha thrive. It's a pity that brat Asma, why doesn't he know how to make progress? What do you think of Kakashi's opponent, Tsukumo? Third generation asked. Well, White Fang went through Ruahuo's performance just now in his mind, and then paid attention to third generation's expression, and knew that the old man was talking about more than just this battle. He is a genius, White Fang commented, but he still needs the right guidance. Unlike other geniuses, this kid is from the Uchiha clan. His talent is clearly visible, but the nature of the Konoha security department and the Uchiha clan's methods of doing things are a bit paranoid after all. But this child is different from most Uchiha ninjas. His companions are not limited to Uchiha, otherwise he would not have sent those children to the hospital. Master third generation, I think this child has a promising future. White Fang gave it a very high rating. Third generation took a puff of cigarette, puffed out a puff of smoke, and saw a cloud of smoke in front of his eyes. Yes, these children are the future of Konoha. Brother, kunai is so expensive, why doesn't Kakashi ask you to take it back? On the way home from school, Obito asked curiously while playing with his new kunai. Because his dad had, because I beat him into submission, Obito. Ruahuo educated his stupid brother, the world is like this. As long as your fist is big enough, others will be afraid of you. They will take the initiative to give you their precious things to prevent you from hurting them. But if you promise to protect these people, then they will love you, and at the same time they will take the initiative to give you precious things, so that they can have more of your protection and then bully others. Obito nodded confusedly and looked at his fist, half understanding, then remembered something and pointed to the Hokage rock in the distance. Brother, if I conquer Grandpa Hokage, will he let me become Hokage? In both time and space, Obito's dream is to become a Hokage. This problem may be a bit complicated. Ruahuo shook his head. I actually told you before, if you want to be a Hokage, you have to fight not just the third generation project, but the entire village. Ah, brother, why is it so troublesome to become a Hokage? Obito didn't quite understand. Did Grandpa Hokage also defeat the entire village to become a Hokage? No, Ruahuo shook his head again. Third generation is very strong, but his ability to become a Hokage has nothing to do with his strength. He was not the one who defeated the whole village. He was just the one who stood on the shoulders of giants and picked the fruits. Ruahuo said the last sentence in his heart, but he was still slightly prepared to listen. The first generation conquers the world, the second generation diligently guards the home. When it comes to third generation, conspiracy politics is at hand. Senju disappeared and Tsunade lost her home. Minato died in the battle, and Naruto had a hard childhood. This is what third generation does. Ruahuo doesn't have much opinion on the third generation project. But the development of the Uchiha clan has reached a critical moment, and they must have a collision with Konoha. There is no doubt about it. Regardless of the original time and space, or now, the conflict between Konoha and Uchiha is a legacy of the times. From ninja sect to Sengoku, from Indra and Asura, to Madara and Hashirama. This thing cannot be reconciled, and there are even deeper reasons behind it. Aren't those who tried to change all this, such as Uchiha Mirror and Uchiha Shisui, become cold? The original time and space, even without Obito and Itachi. Konoha and Uchiha will also have a battle. It's just that without Nine Tails, Uchiha is unlikely to be Konoha's opponent, and the ending will most likely be annihilation. But it's different now. Under his careful training, Obito will definitely be a noble Uchiha warrior in the future. Itachi hasn't been born yet, but even if he has been planning to defect to the third generation since he was born, Ruahuo is confident that he can suppress it with one hand. Don't ask. Asking is the confidence of a senior. As for Shisui, Brother Obito, you are finally back. As soon as he reached the gate of the tribe, a little curly man with a snot-filled nose ran over, holding 2 fishing rods several times taller than him. I fell down before taking 2 steps. Without crying or fussing, I got up, patted the soil, wiped my nose, picked up the fishing rod and continued running. Obito greeted him, "Come on, Shisui, I'll take you fishing." "Brother Obito, can you catch a rabbit today? I want to eat roasted rabbit." "I want to eat too." Obito looked at their eldest brother. Ruahuo shrugged, "Then let's go, but Obito, you have to go home first and give the money to Grandma. Don't talk about the fight, just say that we acted bravely and others gave us a thank you fee." Okay. Obito ran home quickly. Ruahuo looked at Shisui, who was less than 4 years old, and smiled like a senior. "Let's go. Before it gets dark, I'll take you to catch rabbits." Yes, this little guy with a snot-filled nose and a stumble even after running for a few steps is the future famous Shisui. He is also the number 2 younger brother that Ruahuo just took in not long ago. He is the 3rd youngest and is codenamed 3rd D Shisui. Big C Ruahuo, 2B Obito, 3D Shisui. Just the 3 brothers Uchiha CBD, Water, Fire, and Earth, have grown up with 3 Gundams to open the way. Are you still afraid of you, Konoha? Speaking of which, Shisui's life experience is quite miserable. It's almost the same experience as Obito. He hasn't seen his parents since he was a child, and he was raised by his neighbor's grandmother since he was a child. But Shisui in this time and space is obviously luckier. Because, like Obito, he also has a super handsome and invincible big brother. The key is that the child can worry less. To open Obito's eyes, Ruahuo had to plan a lot and formulate a Jirenryu eye-opening plan. Not necessary for Shisui. It develops on its own and becomes Shisui shortly after setting foot on the battlefield. In a few years, after returning to the village from the Kurigakure battlefield, he will become the distinguished heavenly god's Shisui. But in this time and space, Ruahuo has no intention of letting distinguished heavenly gods appear. This guy's shaft. The reason why the original time and space tried to use distinguished heavenly gods on Fugaku was also for Uchiha's good. Shisui has no grudge against Fugaku. On the contrary, Shisui respects the head of his family very much. And Ruahuo definitely wants to be the clan leader. He didn't want the brothers to turn against each other and destroy their relatives for the sake of justice. It was just getting dark. The future Uchiha chief Wakahu, and the future Hokage Obito, finally returned home. Ruahuo noticed something strange before he even got home. At this time, Grandma usually likes to sit at the door and blow the air, waiting for the 2 children to come home, which can also save some electricity bills for turning on the lights. But Grandma didn't have it today, and the lights at home were on. "Are there guests?" Ruahuo quickened his pace and walked a few steps. As soon as he reached the door before entering the house, he heard his grandma's voice. "I am getting older and my brain is not very clear. If you need anything, just tell my 2 grandchildren." Looking for trouble. Who dares to come to Uchiha to cause trouble? Ruahuo rushed home, but immediately calmed down after seeing the figure in the living room. It turned out to be the former patriarch and his wife a few years later. "Auntie, you are joking. I see you are strong. Makoto sat next to his grandma and smiled. Fugaku noticed the two brothers at the door and laughed loudly. Look, the two men at home are back. Grandma just praised you for being sensible. Hello, Mr. Patriarch, and hello, Auntie Makoto. Ruahuo said hello obediently and patted Obito on the back of the head. Hello, Mr. Patriarch, and hello, Auntie Makoto. Obito said hello. After saying hello, the two brothers came to Grandma's side and stood on the left and right. Grandma turned to look at Ruahuo. Xiao Ruahuo, Grandma, why did you hear Xiao Fugaku say that you and Obito fought with someone again today? Obito's whole body tensed up. Grandma hates it when they fight with others. Every time they come home from a fight, no matter whether they win or lose, they have to be beaten. Ruahuo moved his eyes away from the two scrolls and gifts on the coffee table, nodded calmly, and said, well, a few Hyuga cataracts wanted to bully Obito, so I sent them to the hospital using fire style. Did you hit Hyuga? Then it's okay. He didn't kill anyone, right? No, but I can't get out of bed for 3 to 5 months. That's such a pity. Grandma shook her head in disappointment. Fugaku's eyes twitched. Is there something special about the old lady's education method? You have to be careful when fighting in the future. You are the elder brother. Don't worry too much when protecting your younger brother. Do you understand? I know, Grandma. Ruahuo responded obediently. Grandma stood up and said, then you two talk to Xiao Fugaku. I'm tired and should rest first. Fugaku and Makoto stood up and sent the old lady back to her house respectfully. When Grandma closed the door, the people in the living room seemed to have relaxed a lot. Well done, little guy. Fugaku was the first to say. I've heard everything about what happened today. 1 on 3, you were able to send someone to the hospital after defeating your opponent. You did a great job. Fugaku made no secret of his praise for Ruahuo and pointed to the two scrolls on the table. I heard that you can use fire style today. Here are 2 sea-level fire styles. You can try to practice them. If you don't understand anything, you can come to the Konoha security department at any time. Even if I'm not here, the seniors there will be happy to give you advice. The appreciation and support in Fugaku's words were very clear and undisguised. It's obvious that Fugaku is here to gain favor. Maybe Shisui in the original time and space had the same treatment, so he accidentally met Itachi, who skipped class and became Itachi's real enlightenment mentor. However, ordinary little devils may quickly fall under such sugar-coated bullets. But Ruahuo obviously won't, because in Wakahuo's view, Fugaku is not a qualified clan leader, otherwise Uchiha would not have wiped out the clan. That would mean the entire clan was wiped out. No one, including the elderly, children, women and children, was left alive. Although Itachi was responsible for the incident, Fugaku, as the clan leader, cannot escape this responsibility. Not to mention whether Fugaku can stop his son. Even if you can't, you should at least be responsible for your tribe, right? Of course, even if Fugaku did this, he would eventually be defeated by Itachi. As long as Uchiha's ending doesn't change, Wakaki will still look down on Fugaku. Yes, it's not that easy to keep Uchiha. But if you don't have the ability, then you can come down. I will bear Uchiha's fate. As for Uchiha Itachi. Wakahuo glanced at Makoto's belly. It wasn't pregnant yet, but Itachi should be there. Maybe I can leave it to Obito in the future. Thank you, Mr. Patriarch, can I take a look? Ruahuo looked very curious. Although he looks down on the future former clan leader, ninjutsu is not guilty. For various reasons, Ruahuo has mastered Great Fireball and Fire Style so far. Although he has mastered the skill, it is somewhat disappointing. A great opportunity like today must not be missed. Of course, Fugaku raised his hand, this is a gift for you. Don't be formal, although it's just 2 sea-level fire styles, but... Halfway through Fugaku's words, he suddenly realized that the little guy's expression was not right. Ninjutsu type. Sea-level fire style Dragon Flame Jutsu. Learning conditions. 3. Sea-level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. Sea-level chakra control, square root. Sea-level chakra reserve, square root. This ninjutsu meets the triggering conditions of fire style Little Genius and is successfully triggered. Successfully learned the art of ninjutsu, fire style Dragon Flame. The last time a similar prompt appeared was when I was learning Great Fireball. After many years, Ruahuo finally added a fire style to his skill set. But Ruahuo didn't show much joy, instead he was a little disappointed. Lord Patriarch, I have known this technique for a long time. Can you change it to another one? Of course, Fugaku didn't think there was anything wrong. It's just a C-level fire style, mastered at 6 years old, 6 years old. It's true that it's a bit young, but this is genius. Ruahuo then opened the second scroll. Ninjutsu type. C-level fire style Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Learning conditions. 3. C-level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. C-level chakra control, square root. C-level chakra reserve, square root. This ninjutsu meets the triggering conditions of fire style Little Genius and is successfully triggered. Successfully learned the art of ninjutsu, fire style Phoenix Sage Fire. Current fire style ninjutsu reserve, 3. Your fire style Little Genius has been upgraded to fire style Star. Fire style Star. The requirements for learning and activating fire style ninjutsu were reduced by 50%, and the fire style ninjutsu increase is increased to 60%. This time there was some extra information, which caused Ruahuo to miss the best time to pretend to beep. Fugaku smiled and said, "Little guy, you can't do this, right? But it doesn't matter. With your talent, it won't take long to master this technique. In this way, when you master it, you can come to Konoha Security Department to find me, and I can teach you more, huh?" Halfway through Fugaku's words, the smile on his face suddenly stopped. I saw a flash of scarlet in Ruahuo's eyes. It was Shan Magatama Sharingan. Fugaku's face was filled with astonishment, and he opened his eyes at the age of 6. This is completely different from learning ninjutsu. Look at this person who has never seen the world. Finally, enjoy your time as clan leader these past few years, Fugaku. When I'm studying and thinking, I like to turn on Sharingan, so that I can concentrate more easily. Ruahuo made up for the unfinished beep and doubled it. I've already learned this ninjutsu. Lord Patriarch, what did you just say? Ruahuo, your eyes. Ah, this is Sharingan. Quote. Fugaku choked. Ruahuo, when did you activate Sharingan? Well, Ruahuo thought for a moment. I forgot the specific time. It should be 1 or 2 years ago, right? Obito was beaten very badly. At that time, I just felt a redness in front of my eyes. Although it would be more shocking to say it when he opened his eyes at the age of 2, Fugaku probably wouldn't believe it. But it doesn't matter. Opening eyes at 4 years old is basically the same as opening eyes at 2 years old. You can tell it from Fugaku's expression. Fugaku was stunned for a few seconds at first, his Adam's apple twitching, his eyes quickly became extremely sharp, and there was a touch of excitement on his face. Ruahuo-kun, it is exactly what Grandma said, he is a reliable brother. It only takes less than 10 minutes to return home in a state of despair. And this is the 4th time Fugaku has changed his title tonight. First he was called the man of the family, then he was called the little guy, then he called Ruahuo by his first name, and now he added the nickname. This means that in Fugaku's mind, Ruahuo has been completely distinguished from other brats of the same age. This is a 4-year-old genius with an eye-opening eye. Super genius. Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Patriarch. Although I don't like Fugaku very much, I don't hold back Wakaka's interest in Fugaku. Apart from anything else, at least Fugaku's fire style reserve can be regarded as a treasure to him at present. The little genius of fire style has been upgraded to fire style Star, and the panel attributes alone are scary enough. Learning conditions are reduced. The consumption is halved and the power can be increased. If this continues to escalate, Uchiha Madara will have a fire style grilling the ninja coalition. Won't they be able to capture it sooner or later? So the Patriarch has prepared other ninjutsu scrolls. Ruahuo blinked and said, it's best if it's a little more difficult. I'm not a 3-year-old kid anymore. These C-level ninjutsu feel like school textbooks, too easy. If the fire continues to beep. He didn't see anything wrong with it either. Fugaku had hinted him twice to go to the Konoha Security Department from the moment they met. Haha, it's just easy for you. Fugaku smiled and shook his head. Is C-level ninjutsu easy? It is. But if these words were said by a 6-year-old kid, that would be a different matter. I'm sorry, I only brought 2 scrolls today, but it doesn't matter. As long as you want to learn, as the leader of the clan, I naturally have no reason to refuse. Fugaku said seductively. Are you still in school? In this way, you can come to the Konoha security department during the weekend. There are all the elite ninjas of the Uchiha clan there. Not only fire-style ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, and the correct use of Sharingan, you can get the answers there. Lord Ruahuo, you need to know that the blood inheritance limit of our clan is not just for studying and studying. Fugaku's eyes also flashed a flash of scarlet, and 3 Magatama appeared above them. Wow, Obito exclaimed. Brother, the patriarch's eyes are just like yours. Ruahuo, Fugaku. Makoto covered his mouth and chuckled, of course, little Obito. We are all members of the same clan. Uncle Fugaku is the clan leader, which is equivalent to your patriarch. We all have the same inheritance limit. When you open your eyes, you will have the same eyes as your brother. Makoto's words made Ruohuo give him a +10 rating. Isn't this a perfect assist? I understand, patriarch. Wakahara patted the back of Obito's head and said, wait until the weekend, and I will take Obito to the Konoha security department for guidance. There was a probing test this week, and the test results basically locked in the title of chief student. If everything goes well, Ruahuo plans to graduate directly and not stay in the ninja school for another day. This year's Chunin assessment will be in 2 months. If nothing unexpected happens, after this Chunin assessment, we will have to wait until next year for the next one. The Ninja World War is about to enter the second stage, a melee between villages. With the rewards from B-level family missions, he can gain more experience and gain military exploits on the battlefield with greater confidence. As for the qualifications to participate in the Chunin assessment, as far as Ruahuo knows, in addition to the approval of guiding ninjas, the big family also seems to have the authority to recommend clan members. Before he officially took over the authority of the Uchiha clan leader and led Uchiha to become bigger and stronger and achieve greater glory. No matter which angle you look at it, the Fugaku in front of him is a fully functional tool man. Okay, then I will wait for you at the Konoha security department, Wakahuo-kun. Fugaku stood up and stretched out his hand, wanting to rub Ruahuo's little head. Ruahuo wanted to refuse, but did not hide. He also extended his hand. Haha, Fugaku smiled and shook hands with Wakahuo. You will definitely become an outstanding ninja, Wakahuo-kun. I also think so. Haha, you're so confident, not bad. It's getting late, so I won't bother you. See you on the weekend. Master Patriarch, walk slowly, and Makoto, walk slowly. Husband, do you know anyone who can open their eyes at this age? On the way home, Makoto leaned against her husband and asked. Well, Fugaku thought for a moment and said seriously, as far as I know, there really is one. Who? Why didn't I know? Makoto asked curiously. His name is Uchiha Itachi, or maybe Uchiha Nanako. He turned on Sharingan when he was just born, earlier than that kid Wakahu. Makoto rolled his eyes, but the smile on his face remained the same as he stroked his belly gently. Baby, did you hear that? Daddy is looking forward to you. That's right, my son must be a unique genius. Fugaku said seductively. Why can't it be a girl? Nanako sounds so nice. Makoto rolled her eyes at her husband again. My daughter is also a unique genius, and she is a great beauty, just like her mother. Fugaku answered fluently. The young couple flirted and flirted all the way, so unhappy. Speaking of which, hubby, that child is so precocious. I always feel that he is not a child, but his younger brother. Geniuses are all like this. Fugaku said with a smile. But genius also needs to grow. I really hope there will be more and more geniuses like this among Uchiha's children. In this way, when I abdicate, I will be able to live up to the expectations of the old patriarch. At night, there are stars. The star of fire style is lying on the lower bunk, and Obito is on the upper bunk, eating ramen in his dream. Things will get better soon. Ruahuo thought. He's playing very well. With Sharingan as the core, all aspects go hand in hand. Being able to defeat Kakashi proves that his first 5-year development plan has been successful. Next he will enter a period of rapid development. Graduated, Chunin went to the battlefield and entered Anbu. The journey of genius is similar. Itachi, Kakashi, Shisui, all follow this path. Before Minato becomes Hokage, Uchiha should be able to reach S-class, right? The second 5-year plan is Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Among the known information, the person who activated Mangekyo the fastest was the white-eyed wolf weasel. Of course it could also be Shisui. The way Ruahuo opens his eyes will be different. Add Anbu or roots to open eyes. This is even simpler. As long as you can become a Chunin and become the most handsome boy on the battlefield, it will only take a matter of minutes to enter Anbu. Minato Konoha succeeded to the throne at the end of 46 years, nearly 6 years, which is enough. As for the roots, noble Uchiha, shameless in cooperating with sewer rats. If Danzo really came to recruit, Ruahuo would definitely agree without hesitation. Then after receiving the reward, he directly gave Danzo a middle finger. Turn around and report back to Konoha Security Department. Don't ask, asking just means looking down on you. Do you want to start a war? Uchiha is so evil, why not let Uchiha go to the battlefield? I bet you don't dare. Speaking of which, if Obito is not fooled into doing pyramid schemes by Madara, Nagato, maybe we can try to win over him. I don't know if non-staff members count towards Uchiha's strength. Ruahuo suddenly thought of this. The first-generation Akatsuki organization was tricked by Danzo and Hanzo. Hanzo's scythe is blunt, and he is afraid that the Akatsuki organization will affect his dominance. If Danzo fanned the flames again, there would be no possibility of cooperation between the two organizations in the Land of Rain. And he only needs to descend from the sky at the Akatsuki organization's most critical moment and execute justice in the name of Uchiha. The Vassal Force module has not been unlocked yet. Please check the system panel after completing the A-level family mission. The system suddenly popped up a prompt, which almost startled Ruahuo. Is it really possible to unlock it by completing the A-level family mission? Ruahuo blinked. Does the system really have this function? Then maybe this 5-year plan can add a little more content. Develop the Akatsuki organization into the Uchiha Rain country branch. Hey, it seems that the Akatsuki organization was originally a vassal of Uchiha Madara, so he just took it over and used it, so there's nothing wrong with it. Perfect. Ruahuo was so satisfied that he closed his eyes. The direction is already there. Next, he will try it in his dream. The week at school always goes by slowly. As the squad leader, Ruahuo must lead by example, so he did not skip school to practice. Of course, this has something to do with the fact that he doesn't know how to shadow clone yet. No way, shadow clone is AB rank ninjutsu after all. There were no scrolls at home, and his grandma didn't know how to do it. There was no place for him to learn if he wanted to. Finally got to the weekend. All grades in ninja school are facing a preliminary examination. The results of this examination will determine the quota for the top student of that grade. Said he was the chief student. But in Ruahuo's view, he is actually a different kind of good student. The quota will be changed based on future examination results. It is equivalent to issuing certificates in advance and then encouraging other students to study hard. The competition is still a bit fierce. However, Ruahuo is a man of 2 generations, so he is naturally good at handling small scenes like this. But in order to ensure that the number of top students is guaranteed and to pave the way for early graduation. So Ruahuo found Teacher Omu directly after the exam. Speaking of which, Teacher Omu has always said that he would report to Hokage about the previous fight. But it's been a week and Ruahuo hasn't received any news. Dong dong dong. Ruahuo stood at the door and knocked politely. It's Ruahuo, what's wrong? I'm here to help you mark your papers, teacher. Teacher Omu thought for a while, but still refused Ruahuo's help. He would rather ask for help from his own shadow clone. You don't have to worry about it. You can go have lunch first. The results will be announced in the afternoon. Teacher Omu waved his hand and took out a red pen to prepare for overtime correction. But before it started, he noticed that Ruahuo hadn't left yet. Teacher Omu felt a little bad and asked helplessly, is there anything else? Monitor. Teacher Omu slightly emphasized the word, monitor. The content of this exam is very simple, teacher. Ruahuo said coolly. I want to know, will all future exams be this easy? You just need to digest the things in the textbook and then fill them in the test paper step by step. Teacher Omu was stunned for a moment. He felt that Ruahuo was right. He nodded and said, as for practical combat, the teacher will also teach you some knowledge that is not available in the textbooks, so you still need to listen carefully in class. Speaking of listening carefully, Damu was quite surprised by Ruahuo's performance this week. Because the first grade of the ninja school teaches mostly basic theories, which are actually not unfamiliar to children from wealthy families who have received training. Ruahuo has shown strength far beyond his peers before. Therefore, Mr. Oki has always believed that Wakahara is the younger generation that Uchiha focuses on training. But even so, Ruahuo was still very serious in class. Quite unexpected, but I am already the strongest in the class. Even the senior Hyugas have to take a detour when they see me. Ruahuo spread his hands and said, so, teacher, what else can I learn in ninja school? They took a detour because their clan leader gave the order, and this is not something to be proud of. Teacher Omu's head already hurts a little. Don't be too complacent, Ruahuo. Teacher Omu said patiently. You are only in the first grade now, and there are still. I have read all the textbooks for the 6th grade of ninja school, teacher. Teacher Omu was interrupted by Ruahuo's cold voice midway through his words. With all due respect, the knowledge and theories taught in the ninja school are too basic for me. So I have always admired the teacher. As a chunin, the teacher can still take the trouble to explain such a simple thing to the students over and over again. This is indeed something I can't do. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. After Ruahuo finished speaking, he bowed at 90 degrees, which made Damu's eyes twitch. The teacher still likes your unruly look, can you recover? If you do this, the teacher will feel a little panicked. Ruahuo, what do you want? Teacher Omu asked tentatively. I want to apply for early graduation, teacher. Ruahuo revealed his true purpose. There is no time to waste. I want to become a ninja as soon as possible and serve my family in the village. So, please give me an application form, and I'll go back and have the parents sign it. Ruahuo looked directly into Teacher Omu's eyes. Konoha, you need me. There is only one class on Friday afternoon. It was only 3:30 when school ended. The two brothers did not choose to go home, but went straight to the Konoha security department. Although Fugaku only invited him. But how can you not call me a little brother when it comes to gathering wool? He is the eldest brother. Don't be nervous when you meet the clan leader later. He is easy to talk to, you know. Yeah, apart from Grandma's crutches and his elder brother's iron fist, Obito really wasn't afraid of anyone. As they approached the Konoha security department, the two saw Shisui sitting on a bench, holding a ninja school textbook and studying. Some people may not believe it. Shisui, who is not yet old enough to go to school, is actually Obito's after-school tutor. God knows how outrageous Obito's crane tail attributes are. Nohara Lin, who tied for first place in the theory test, was at the same table. There is also a little genius Shisui who helps with tutoring after studying on his own. Just for this, Obito can still score 2 points less than Metkai in the exam. Well, have you seen the next semester? Ruahuo's expression was a little strange. Ah, big brother, Obito brother, you are here. Shisui looked up, with a very excited face. The CBD brothers have gathered together, and today's task is to collect Fugaku wool. Konoha Security Department. As one of Konoha's landmark buildings, it was built not much later than the Hokage building. It is also a building of the Uchiha clan that has never migrated with other clan members except Nanga Shrine. The emblem of the Uchiha clan hangs high on it, and below it are the heads of Konoha's security forces. The building as a whole has a fire-like feel, which is not as grand as the Hokage building, but it is still solemn enough. The Uchiha wearing Konoha-style vests and police department shoulder straps were coming in and out one by one. It really gave a sense of déjà vu to the Ninja World Police Department. Ruahuo vaguely noticed a line of sight from the top of the building, separated by a reflective window. Let's go and learn ninjutsu from the clan leader. Ruahuo gave the order and walked to the security department with his two younger brothers. At this time, a middle-aged man with a tired but angry face walked towards him. He was still cursing and looking back every 3 steps, as if he had a lot of objections to the Konoha security department. Didn't I just drink some wine? I didn't mean to cause trouble, but they detained me all night. These Uchiha, sooner or later, I'm going to burn this place down. Ouch. The middle-aged man didn't pay attention to his steps. He tripped and fell to the ground. He screamed and then looked at the few kiddies next to him angrily. It hurts, you kid, you can't walk without eyes. The words just fell. Boom. Obito sprinted and pushed his knee, hitting the middle-aged man directly on the head. The middle-aged man was beaten to the ground again before he could get up. Obito then maintained the pressure in the 7-city position, glaring at this guy as if he was in stress. No, Shu. Scold, my brother. Don't look at Obito as a fool, he's serious about it. Brother Obito is so handsome. Little Shisui next to him also waved his little hands excitedly. Ruahuo nodded secretly, very satisfied with the 2 younger brothers. Obito's ability to realize this is not in vain for his years of cultivation. Okay, Obito, let this gentleman go, he didn't mean it. Ruahuo said calmly. HMPH. Obito glared at the middle-aged man who had not yet recovered, then stood up and walked away. Ruahuo came to the man, squatted down, patted his face, smiled and said with concern, Sir, are you okay? My brother didn't do it on purpose. He is still young. Can you please stop being like him? The middle-aged man calmed down slightly and looked at the kid in front of him in horror. How could he still be as arrogant as before? No, it's okay, the middle-aged man said weakly. Then tell me about me. The smile on Ruahuo's face disappeared. You just kicked me and scolded us. My foot told me that it was in great pain and would require 100,000 taels of medical expenses. My brothers are also very sad. They don't have enough money to see a psychiatrist. I'm afraid it will leave a psychological shadow. 100,000 taels plus 300,000 taels, that's 4 million taels. Nani. The middle-aged man collapsed a little. Kid, your math is. Shut up, I haven't finished talking yet. Ruahuo stopped the opponent's rebuttal with a slap, pointed to the Konoha security department behind him, and continued to accuse. Put this aside for now. I just heard you say some dangerous remarks. For example, if you want to burn down the Konoha security department, that's really what you said, right? Having just eaten a big dick, the middle-aged man was still a little confused, and nodded instinctively with fear. That's right. The Konoha Security Department is an important organization that maintains order in Konoha, and the prisons inside are all extremely vicious prisoners. Ruahuo's expression suddenly turned cold. I now have reason to suspect that you are intending to destroy the order of Konoha and then launch a terrorist attack on Konoha. Swish. A strong light shone on the face of this frightened middle-aged man. He instinctively closed his eyes, but when he opened them again, he saw this devil-like boy holding a kunai high. Spy, Shini. Ah, when people are in great panic, they will not remember to defend themselves. Screaming is the only reaction. Motor. Fugaku, who was watching a movie in the office on the top floor, shrank his pupils. Why did he suddenly move the kunai? Bridge bean sack. Several Uchiha rushed out, with a clear division of labor. One knocked down Wakahui, one protected the civilians, and the other took away the kunai from Wakahui. What are you doing? This guy is a nasty spy, and he was insulting Uchiha just now. Ruahuo turns into an angry child, struggling crazily and resisting crazily. Let me go. Let go of my brother. Let go of brother Ruahuo. Obito entered a state of stress again, and Shisui screamed and rushed towards the 2 Uchiha. The scene was extremely chaotic. Ruahuo did not forget to greet his 2 younger brothers, leave me alone. Kill this fool first. Kill him. Obito and Shisui decisively changed directions, but were lifted up by 2 big hands respectively. Calm down, everyone. Fugaku jumped directly from the window and shouted. Shisui was frightened and immediately became honest. But Obito is never afraid. Let me go. My brother asked me to kick him to death. Obito struggled wildly and roared loudly, fight him to death. Fugaku suddenly felt dizzy, but just when he was about to help Obito force himself to calm down. The scarlet red in Obito's eyes made Fugaku stunned again. No, do all children nowadays open their eyes like this? 5 minutes later, Konoha Security Department, Minister's Office. The three little ones were sitting side by side on the sofa, each with a carton of milk and some snacks in front of them. But none of the three of them touched him. They all looked at Obito. The single Magatama in Obito's eyes has disappeared, as if it was a flash in the pan. But opening one's eyes is opening one's eyes. Now Obito is also a child with pink eye. How do you feel, Obito? Ruahuo asked. One thing to say, Ruahuo was really surprised that Obito could open his eyes at this age. 6 years old. At the same age, a certain Indra reincarnated and offered sacrifices to the whole family, but it seemed that it was just a single Magatama. And Obito. So the scene where he tricked Fugaku just now just stimulated Obito's eyesight. Brother, I feel great. When I open my eyes, I feel like I can kill a cow with one punch. Obito said seriously. Quote. Ruahuo pursed his lips. Well, Obito's talent is not weak to begin with. If it were weak, the original time and space would not have directly double Magatama at the age of 12, and then directly Mangekyo. This version of Obito seems to have sacrificed his IQ, so to speak. There is nothing wrong with opening my eyes at the age of 6. Well, the only thing missing is Shisui. At this time, the office door was opened and Fugaku strode in. Looking around the three little beasts of Uchiha, Fugaku exhaled and chuckled, shaking his head. You guys, I feel a little sympathy for your ninja teachers now. Fugaku joked. That guy is a drunkard. There is no need to get along with him. I have asked him to go to the detention room to reflect. But Xiao Ruahuo, you must never do this, that again in the future. Fugaku originally meant to be impulsive. But is Ruahuo really impulsive? It was obvious that Ruahuo wanted to teach this arrogant drunkard a lesson from the beginning. But before he took action, he at least accused the other party of being a spy. This has nothing to do with impulse. The only thing that made Fugaku uncertain was Wakaki's action of pulling out the kunai. Do you want to scare the other party, or do you really want to? Isn't that the case? Ruahuo did not respond to Fugaku's words, but took out a brand new application form from his pocket. Patriarch, please sign here in the parent column. Parents. Fugaku's eyes suddenly lit up, and he remembered Makoto's assist that night, and silently gave his wife a thumbs up. This is. Fugaku took the application form, his expression gradually became weird. Application form for early graduation. Lord Ruahuo, are you ready to apply for graduation? Fugaku was surprised. If I remember correctly, ninja school seems to have just started, less than a week. Well, I studied the textbooks from the 1st to 6th grades of the ninja school by myself. They are too simple. Ruahuo responded calmly. Teacher Omu said that he felt that he could no longer teach me anything, so he gave me this form. Damu. I didn't, don't talk nonsense. I originally wanted Grandma to sign it, but Grandma is old and her eyesight is a bit blurry, and Obito and I don't have any other elders at home. So I can only ask the patriarch. Auntie Makoto said that the clan leader is our patriarch. If you sign, Mr. Oki will agree, right? After hearing this, Fugaku straightened up a lot. I am the majestic leader of the Uchiha clan, but he is a little chunin. How dare he deny my signature? Don't worry, Lord Ruahuo. Fugaku took a pen from his desk and signed his name neatly. Since the ninja school teacher said so, he naturally didn't need to ask any more questions. Xiao Ruahuo is so upright, so he can't lie to others, right? It would be better to graduate early. Geniuses are always different from ordinary people. They all have their own path to take. After signing, Fugaku felt that something was missing. So he went back, took out 2 seals and stamped them upwards. The clan leader's signature is the same as the parent's signature. I am your patriarch. I believe your teacher will agree. Fugaku returned the signed and stamped application form to Ruahuo. Ruahuo raised his eyebrows. Good guy, is this the private seal of the clan leader and the official seal of the security department? The private seal is understandable, but the official seal, what does it mean? Ruahuo was a little confused at first. But when I thought that this application form required Hokage's signature and approval, which meant that the 3rd generation project would 100% see this application form, I felt relieved. This is to mark him with the Konoha Security Department's seal in advance. Haha, Fugaku is such a scheming boy. But isn't this method too crude? What kind of scene has I never seen in third generation? How can I accept what you are doing? If you really want to keep someone, you should go to the Hokage building and tell him directly. What are you afraid of? Uchiha Ruahuo is an excellent candidate for our Konoha security department and the next candidate for the Uchiha clan leader. Please respect yourself, Hokage. This is the attitude a clan leader should have. Thank you, Mr. Patriarch. Ruahuo thanked him obediently and silently collected the application form. The chief student must be his. The biggest competitor has been defeated by him, and he is still willing to call him monitor. With this application form, the C-level task has been completed. The only thing uncertain is his guidance Jonin. Could it be Minato? Ruahuo thought secretly. He hoped that Minato could teach him so that he could use the Rasengan properly. Yes, Ruahuo started studying the ball practice method when he could refine chakra. He was there when Jiraiya was teaching Naruto. When Sasuke was teaching Boruto, he also glanced at him. He has already mastered this skill that can be used in the finale, but he has never had the chance to use it. When the time comes, you can scare Minato, and maybe you can fool someone about the identity of the descendant of Mount Myoboku. Sage mode is not inferior to Mangekyo in a sense. Maybe the second 5-year plan can be completed ahead of schedule. Okay, I have a lot of business today, but my shadow clone can still handle it. Children, if you want to learn ninjutsu, let's start right away. Fugaku said with a smile. Is there really a lot of official work in Fugaku? Probably yes, but Ruahuo was more inclined to think that Fugaku said this deliberately so that the three of them would feel that the patriarch had put in more energy for them. This is not Ruahuo's malicious speculation. Mainly, Fugaku has shown his cautiousness too many times in just a few contacts. If Huo is really a child, forget it. But Ruahuo was a human being in 2 lifetimes. In his previous life, he had a father who was a director and a mother who was a strong woman. Can you see this little trick? Thank you for your hard work, Patriarch. Ruahuo cooperated with Fugaku's performance and patted Shisui and Obito on the back of their heads. Thank you for your hard work, Patriarch. Surrounded by mountains and rivers, by a small lake. On the Ma Bridge in the lake. Wakahuo remembered that when Fugaku taught Itachi Great Fireball, he also taught it on a small lake like this. I'm not afraid of damaging the environment, causing fires or anything like that. But Ruahuo always felt like he was being taken advantage of. Of course, for ninjutsu's sake, he could not choose to forgive. Wakao-kun, this technique requires a lot of chakra. If you can't learn it, don't force it. You have a very high talent. Remember the order of seal formation and the flow of chakra. If you refine the chakra well, you will be able to use it sooner or later. Watch it. Fugaku said a few words, and then performed a slow-motion seal. Fire style, the art of singing with dragon flames. Ode. This is also Uchiha's signature ninjutsu. The learning difficulty is a level, and the power limit is also a level. It can spray dragon head fire bombs in 4 different directions, making the enemy unable to dodge and can only carry it hard. Ninjutsu type. A-level fire style dragon flame singing technique. Learning conditions. 3. A-level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. Level A chakra control, times. Grade B chakra reserve, times. To trigger, light of fire style, the conditions required to learn activate fire style ninjutsu were reduced by 50%. Successfully learned the technique of ninjutsu, fire style dragon flame singing. Relying on the light of fire style, Ruahuo learned a new fire style. So my chakra reserves are currently only C level. Single quote. Ruahuo realized this clearly. Both he and Obito have been tested with chakra test strips, and both started with pure fire attributes. With a single Magatama Sharingan, the chakra control level is naturally not low, but it is obviously not enough. But in terms of chakra reserve, it is indeed a flaw due to age. Sharingan is waiting for an upgrade. Single quote. Tailed Beast, Curse Seal, Hashirama Cell, if it doesn't work, learn the Yin Seal, or go to Kurigakure to grab Samahata. Single quote. Ruahuo quickly wrote it down in his notebook. Every step he takes now may be a small step for himself, but in the future it will become a giant step for Uchiha. There is no way. Who made him such a responsible patriarch? I seem to have learned it, Mr. Patriarch. Ruahuo paused deliberately, waiting for Fugaku to relax and deliver a critical strike. Swish swish. Fire style, the art of singing with dragon flames. Ode. 4 flame dragon heads erupted. Even though the scale and volume are smaller, the temperature is not as good as Fugaku's teaching version. Although the difficulty of this technique lies in chakra control, the consumption is indeed not low. But once it is used, it is used. No matter what, Ruahuo will do it. In fact, if not for saving chakra, relying on the little genius of fire style, if Ruahuo wants to stud, he can also use higher power. But why bother? Today I am here to collect wool. After a wave of pretending to beep, it shrivels immediately. How can I collect it next? Lord Patriarch. After admiring Fugaku's expression for 2 seconds, Ruahuo frowned and said, Teacher Omu said that I can graduate early. So, clan leader, can you teach me some serious ninjutsu? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Fugaku's eyes twitched. This is a genuine grade of fire style, why is it not serious? You kid, don't just rely on your superior talent to accuse others unjustly. Wakao-kun, is there anything wrong with this technique? Fugaku asked with a strange expression. He felt that he somewhat understood the ninja school teacher named Ogi. It's a bit flashy. Ruahuo shook his head and said, since we need to use 4 fireballs to block the enemy's evasion route, why can't we just use the large-scale fire style? It doesn't have to be so troublesome to control. Haha. Fugaku was relieved. Ruahuo-kun, your idea is correct. But a larger range of fire style means more chakra consumption. Forget it. I'll demonstrate it for you, and you should understand, just watch it. I saw Fugaku forming seals again, still in slow motion, but this time there were obviously more seals. Fire style, the fire is extinguished. Ode. High temperature flames erupted from Fugaku's mouth, sweeping across the lake like a wave of fire. The system prompts immediately. Ninjutsu type. B-level fire style, high fire extinguishing. Learning conditions. 3. B-level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. Class B chakra control, square root. Grade B chakra reserve, times. To trigger, light of fire style, the conditions required to learn activate fire style ninjutsu were reduced by 50%. Successfully learned ninjutsu. Fire style, the fire is extinguished. Please note, light of fire style is about to meet the upgrade conditions. The current upgrade requires B-level fire style 1. Only 1 less. Ruahuo's eyes lit up, but just when he was thinking about how to trick Fugaku into continuing to show off. Fugaku, a tool man, actually took the initiative to send warmth to Ruahuo. Look, this is the effect you want to achieve. It doesn't require precise control, but the chakra consumption is more than twice that of the dragon flame singing technique. There is no right or wrong in ninjutsu, only the timing of activation. The difference between the two ninjutsu actually lies in the number of enemies in front of you. Fugaku took a breath for a moment. Even if he activated 2 B-level fire styles in succession, it would consume a lot of energy. But so what? He is the patriarch in the hearts of the children, the leader of the Uchiha clan. In addition to the technique just now, there is also a fire style, which is also in line with your ideas. Watch it. Fugaku sighed. Whatever you say today, you must also establish an excellent patriarchal image in the hearts of the children. You must at least know some serious ninjutsu, right? Fire style, great fire destruction. One word difference, but they are 2 ninjutsu. The fire style is a covering fire style. When activated, a layer of ultra-wide-angle fire waves can be sprayed from the mouth. In the hands of Uchiha Madara, there is a huge wave of flames. The Great Fire Destruction, on the plane, is more like a super pro version of the Great Fireball Plus. In the hands of Uchiha Madara, with Susanna's height, ninjutsu is activated from top to bottom, like a meteorite falling from the sky. How? Fugaku calmed down his consumption. Looking at Ruahuo with a dull look on his face, he suddenly felt very vain. What? You were so shocked that you couldn't speak? Little genius. It really is. Ruahuo looked at the prompts coming one after another from the system and felt a little confused. Successfully learned ninjutsu. Fire style, great fire destruction. Current B-level fire style ninjutsu reserves, 3. Your fire style star can be upgraded. Please choose the upgrade direction. Direction 1. Flame of Amaterasu. Your fire-style ninjutsu cost is increased to 1000%, but will be converted into the Flame of Amaterasu. The Flame of Amaterasu. The final form of fire style, it has extremely high temperature and will never go out until it completely incinerates the target. Direction 2. Son of Flame. The cost of learning activating escape techniques is reduced to 30%. You can learn all escape techniques, but all the escape techniques you learn will be replaced by flames. Direction 3. Give up the choice. Please note, once the selection is confirmed, it cannot be changed. If there is no selection after 24 hours, it will default to Direction 3. Here comes the problem. Will all fire styles become Amaterasu? Or will all ninjutsu become fire style? Chapter 11. There are 3 directions, and there is also a give up option to make up the numbers. Of course, it is impossible to give up. Even if you choose the first 2 with your eyes closed, it feels like you are not losing money. Regardless of whether it's 10 times the chakra consumption, switch to full fire style Amaterasu. Or reduce consumption by 70% and replace all escape techniques with fire style. No matter how you look at it, it's not a loss. It's just a bit confusing to choose. If we solve the chakra problem, the consumption of all fire style Amaterasu will not matter. Single quote. But the Son of Flame feels pretty powerful. Among the attributes of the Son of Flame, in addition to replacing the escape technique with flames, there is also a very special entry. You can learn everything ninjutsu. That naturally includes all kinds of blood ninjutsu including wood style. Fireman jutsu, fire dragon jutsu, senju fire Buddha. Ruahuo tried to use his imagination, but found that both options had their own merits. In the future, he will definitely solve the chakra problem. So consumption can be ignored for the time being. Amaterasu, although also known as the fire of kindness, has a poor performance depending on how awesome his introduction is. But Amaterasu's power is truly unique. Just imagine, if Amaterasu is activated with a powerful fire, and released a few more times, the ninja world will be burned bare. But if you choose the fire of Amaterasu, in his early stage, he can basically say goodbye to fire style. 10 times the consumption. His current chakra can actually be used as a small version of Great Fireball Amaterasu. But what happens after that? Chakra is completely exhausted, purely relying on physical skills. But it's not a big problem. After passing the Genin assessment, Weiwei will develop for a period of time. If you have a long body or something, you can take the Chunin exam when you are mature. But when choosing Direction 2, Son of Flame, there are not so many constraints in the early stage. Not only can you learn all ninjutsu, but the cost is also reduced a lot. Although the power limit is not as good as Amaterasu's, you may suffer some losses when fighting with ultimate moves, but it is not impossible to make up for it. Sage Jutsu, combined with a Genin Jutsu with a Wind Release Ninja, are both good methods. The 2 choices are more like the choice of big move and minor skill. One increases the upper limit of power, and the other increases shot options. But the endpoint is basically the same. After the chakra problem is solved, he can use Amaterasu's ultimate move at will. Son of Flame can also use effects similar to Fire Style Giant, and he can also use Sage Jutsu to increase his power. But then again, Amaterasu, it seems you can't burn Otsutsuki, right? Ruahuo frowned. Kagaya is indeed a little afraid of Sasuke's Amaterasu, but it's just fear. When I got here, I absorbed it completely. Amaterasu's power is indeed impressive. But after reaching a certain level, there are certain restrictions. The key point is that Amaterasu and Sage Jutsu seem to be 2 different systems that cannot be combined. It's a pity, it would be great if I could choose both. Single quote. All ninjutsu become Amaterasu, tisk tisk. Considering that I might have to fight Otsutsuki in the future. The balance in Ruahuo's heart gradually moved towards the second direction. And Ruahuo quickly figured out another question. Amaterasu is indeed very strong. But is regular fire style weak? Even without the blessing of Sage Jutsu, the lethality of fire style is not low. Wouldn't it take dozens of water style ninjas to stop Uchiha Madara's powerful fire? If a fire style giant were to drop a hair casually, how could it not be extinguished with a burst of fire? And this time, Seeing Ruahuo thinking for a long time, Fugaku suddenly patted Ruahuo on the shoulder. You are still young, Lord Ruahuo. The only thing that limits you is time, and time is just a lock that cannot be locked. Practice hard. I believe you will surpass me one day. As the clan leader, Fugaku felt that he needed to encourage this little genius. And those are the words. It became the last straw that caused Ruahuo's heart to tilt. Patriarch, there is something I don't know whether to say or not. Ruakao glanced at Fugaku expressionlessly. Fugaku was stunned for a moment, feeling something was wrong, but he still said curiously, you tell me. If this is all the patriarch can teach me, then I think there is no difference between studying under the clan leader and being in a ninja school. Saying that, Ruahuo took a step forward, quickly formed seals with both hands. Fire style. The fire is extinguished. Ode. Waves of high temperature fire spurt out from the mouth of the fire. This is a complete technique. This is not over yet. With 70% chakra consumption exemption, Ruahuo's current chakra consumption is not too big. Swish swish. Make a seal with your hands again. Fire style. Great fire destruction. Ode. A super large high temperature fireball shot out and hit the lake like a cannonball. All die. Obito and Shisui, two little fans, looked on with admiration. Fugaku's eyes widened even more, with only shock on his face. Just after watching it once, I felt. This is AB level fire style. Putting aside the difficulty of learning, where did this kid get so much chakra? Lord Patriarch, you'd better teach me shadow clone, teleportation and other techniques. Ruahuo breathed out, I no longer have any interest in fire style ninjutsu. Fugaku Shengtu Index, 120%. It was already dusk when we left the Xiaohu training ground. I used all my fire styles in Fugaku. Then Ruahuo copied it again on the spot. Fugaku's eyes obviously changed. Ruahuo didn't hide his talent at all. Even if he drains his chakra, he still has to look relaxed in front of Fugaku. What you want is to crush with talent. Now that I've demonstrated a talent beyond your comprehension. So when that day comes, I hope you can recognize the reality and take the initiative to get out of that position. Uchiha, this is not for a weak person like you to lead. The only person who can save the fate of this family is me. Fugaku had always wanted to label Wakaki as a member of the Konoha security department. But how could he know that Ruahuo had already been plotting against him, the leader of the Uchiha clan? Brother, Shisui is already asleep. How about letting him stay at our house tonight? On the way, Obito whispered, I'll go talk to Shisui's grandma, it should be fine. Farewell, Obito. Wakahuo, who was carrying Shisui on his back, shook his head. Shisui's grandma is not in good health. Don't let her worry too much. You can go back and get the fishing rod first. I will find you later. Okay. Obito ran away quickly. Ruahuo continued walking forward with Shisui on his back, but a little old man who loved to smoke appeared in his mind. The system made it very clear that all escape techniques with him would be replaced by fierce flames. The person who has mastered the most escape techniques in the entire ninja world is undoubtedly the Professor Ninjutsu of the third generation. How to pluck a few beards from the professor's body. Ruahuo thought about it again and again, and decided to rely on himself. It's better to go ask him directly for it. Ruahuo had a strange dream at night. The reason why is strange. The reason is that he usually punches and kicks Madara in his dreams, but tonight he met several new faces. Kisame. Kisame didn't know what medicine he took wrongly, so he insisted on fighting for the ownership of Samahata. Then they started fighting. Kisame started with the dam water repair, supplemented by water shark bombs, and the attack was fierce. He directly copied one hand and created a dam Kasuha and a bunch of flaming sharks. Then, the magical place of dreams appeared. The third Raikage came out of nowhere and shouted, Don't be crazy, turned on the lightning style chakra mode directly, started with one hand, and flew over with a whoosh. He is even crazier, using fire style chakra mode directly, transforming into a little fireman, and fighting the third Raikage. This battle was such that the earth was shattered, the sea was shattered, and the rocks were shattered. It was strange. In the end, he managed to win with one move and had the last laugh. But Terumime and Yuhi Kurenai pop up again. Only one of us can live, you choose. Quote. The dream ends here. As soon as Ruahuo opened his eyes, the sky became dark. Obito was still sleeping soundly, but Grandma got up early and started cooking. After Ruahuo finished washing, he ran downstairs to chop firewood with the Hitaki knife technique, practicing and doing both work properly. By the time Obito got up smelling the fragrance of rice, Ruahuo was already sweating. You go find little Shisui today to catch up on your lessons and practice the technique you learned from the clan leader yesterday. Although today is officially the weekend. But for Fugaku, Ruahuo doesn't plan to go there for the time being. Sharingan Genjutsu and so on, he only has Magatama now, so there is no need to increase consumption. Okay, big brother, Obito asked again, brother, won't you come with us? I have to go to the Hokage building and submit my graduation application. Ruahuo looked at Grandma, when I become a ninja, I can do tasks and get paid. Then I will give you a bigger house. As long as you are safe and sound, what kind of house can you change? Grandma's response was very plain, but the concern in her words overflowed. Ruahuo smiled, finished his meal quickly, and left home. I jogged all the way, and it took me about 20 minutes to run from the remote Uchiha tribe to the front of the Hokage building. There is nothing wrong with learning ninjutsu and finding Hokage. Although Konoha has regulations, if you want to obtain ninjutsu, you need to make contributions. But don't forget that the final interpretation right of Konoha now belongs to the third generation project. Fugaku's carefulness in the graduation application was naturally not able to hide the purpose of third generation. Ruahuo has reason to believe that third generation will make the same choice, but at a higher level. There were 2 Konoha ninjas guarding the main entrance of the Hokage building, standing very straight. Wherever you can't see, there must be Anbu on duty. This is the safest place in Konoha, so if you want to force your way in, you will definitely not be able to do so. So Ruahuo strode over. Just kidding, he is still in the novice protection period. Hey, Uchiha brat, what do you want to do? The 2 guarding ninjas ignored the so-called novice protection period and directly blocked Ruahuo from the door. I'm looking for Grandpa Hokage. Ruahuo said seriously, I have something to do. Master Hokage is not someone you can meet casually. Go away quickly. If you have anything to do, go to your clan leader. There's nothing wrong with that, if you ignore the impatient tone and the disgusted looks in their eyes. So Uchiha's reputation is now shattered. Even children will suffer. Ruahuo immediately planned to argue a few words, but before he could open his mouth, he saw someone passing by. He has long and straight black hair, wearing a robe and wearing wooden clogs. His cataract-like eyes and smooth forehead confirmed the other party's identity. Hyuga. There is no caged bird for Hyuga, who is still so young. That could only be Hyuga Hiyashi. Hyuga Hiyashi ignored Ruahuo at the door and walked in without even glancing at him. He's even colder than Uchiha, which is outrageous. The 2 key guarding ninjas even bowed. Why can he go in? Ruahuo asked. That adult is the leader of the Hyuga clan. Of course you can go in, kid. Kaido, the guarding ninja on the left. Go to your clan leader and ask him to bring you here. I will let you go immediately. His tone was still impatient and contemptuous, but he didn't say anything excessive. Ruahuo thought for a while, took out the graduation application, spread it out, and pointed to the signature on it. No one is here, can you sign it? There is also the official seal of the Konoha Security Department. Maybe there are some regulations. Seeing that there were paper documents with stamps on them, the 2 guarding ninjas looked at each other, and the one on the right nodded. Show it to me. Here, Ruahuo handed it over. Graduation application. The guarding ninja frowned, and then looked at Ruahuo with an even more impatient expression. Yeah, Ruahuo-chun didn't notice, I just came to see Grandpa Hokage to apply for graduation. Go away, who cares what you are doing here? If you want to apply for graduation, go to your teacher. If you want to see Mr. Hokage, just ask your clan leader to come here. The guard ninja threw the application form directly at Ruahuo. You want to graduate at such a young age, do you Uchiha clan have any brain problems? That's all for talking about. If Huo doesn't do something, it will be really impolite. You don't give protection period to newbies, do you? Then please wait a moment. Ruahuo silently picked up the application form on the ground, carefully folded it and put it back in his pocket. Under the mixed looks of disgust and pride from the two guarding ninjas, Ruahuo left in despair. But after taking a few steps forward, Ruahuo suddenly stopped and turned around suddenly. "I've long seen something wrong with you," Ruahuo shouted. "Grandpa Hokage is so amiable, how could he let you two souls look at the door indifferently? Tell me, did you kidnap Grandpa Hokage?" Ruahuo's voice was so loud that it immediately reached Hokage's office. At this moment, there are not many people in Hokage's office. They all heard the childish but angry voice downstairs and looked at each other, feeling a little funny. What happened? Third generation was about to turn around and take a look. Even without a crystal ball, he could see everything at the door through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the office. "Kid, I warn you not to. HMPH. You feel guilty. Don't be afraid, Grandpa Hokage. I'll rescue you right now." Puff. Someone in the office couldn't hold it back and laughed out loud on the spot. The others didn't laugh out loud, and had smiles on their faces. But soon, everyone stopped laughing at all. "Will of Fire, please give me the power to rescue Grandpa Hokage." Just listen to that childish voice suddenly yelling, and then, "Fire style, the fire is extinguished." Ode. High-temperature flames swept through the door of the Hokage building. Ah! Screams came from the fire waves. The two guarding ninjas did respond. But subconsciously, who would think how powerful a little devil can be? There is a high probability that it is AD level basic ninjutsu, and Ding Potion is AC level ninjutsu. Class B. Is he fully developed? Does he have that much chakra? Fugaku. I thought the same thing yesterday. So the two people's response was, to take 2 steps forward. At this distance, you can capture someone in a blink of an eye. Why hide? The two of us are guarding the gate of the Hokage building. It represents the face of Hokage-sama. Being scared away by an Uchiha kid. What a joke. Then the two met fire style with their faces. If the fire actually releases water, what does his current behavior amount to? In order to rescue the village chief, a 6-year-old boy, armed with an AK in one hand, stormed into the town hall. The key point is that in addition to the two doormen, there is also a group of Anbu. Anbu, Assassination Tactics Special Forces, equivalent to SWAT. The kind with a big sniper. But Anbu and the Special Police will definitely not snipe a kid. The novice protection period, especially the novice protection period of the Uchiha clan during this period, is still somewhat useful. Konoha was really pushing Uchiha away. But if there is no fear, how can we use rejection? Killing a young genius from the Uchiha family in the village would probably lead to preparations for war. However, it is said so. Pretending to be tender returns to pretending to be tender. But Ruahuo is not stupid enough to kill people in broad daylight. You can get AK, but it must be a water gun. So Wakahui only used the minimum chakra, and ninjutsu focused on scale and lowered quality. How about practicing ninjutsu hard? Most of the experience gained by practicing Great Fireball to the extreme can be radiated to other ninjutsu. But no matter what, this is a fire style after all. You can hide, you can block, and you can even raise your hand to drive away the force just like Metkai did to save Shaoli in the Chunin exam. It can be connected with the face. I'm afraid it's not suitable. Ah! The two guarding ninjas flew out, hit the ground, curled up, covered their faces, and screamed in pain. Motor. Ruahuo's heart skipped a beat. Have these two guys always been so brave? Face to face with fire style. They are not dead. Nani. Third generation's eyes twitched. Can the will of fire be used like this? Aiksu. The Anbu in the dark all attacked, and the Hokage building was attacked. Where is the enemy? How dare you attack the Hokage building in broad daylight? Did Kumogakure sneak in again? Are all these losers in the barriers class blind? Kid, did you see anyone suspicious? Where did he go? Today's Hokage building, the duty captain of the Anbu escort team shouted loudly. Being able to be the captain, there is no doubt about the strength of this Anbu ninja. Although I was looking in another direction just now, I was able to rush to the scene of the crime as soon as possible. Then a subordinate immediately flashed to his side and whispered the real situation. This subordinate was somewhat panicked when he reported. He saw the whole process, but he didn't expect this kid to really dare. And he really used AB level fire style to bomb the Hokage building. Suspicious people. I think you are very suspicious. At this point, Ruahuo can only go one way to the end. Let me tell you, don't think that wearing a mask will scare me, we Uchiha men have nothing to fear. Hurry and hand over the kidnapped Grandpa Hokage. Hiss, you stinky brat. After listening to the report, Captain Anbu was furious. He teleported away and then raised his hand to lift Ruahuo up. This situation is like a reenactment of the scene before the security department yesterday. It's a pity that Obito and Shisui are not here, otherwise Shisui might be able to open his eyes. Let me go. If you dare, challenge me. Be honest. Do you know how much trouble you have caused? Do you know where this is? Ah, will of fire, give me power again. Let me defeat this guy. Grandpa Hokage, hold on. Quote. Third generation sat in Hokage's office and witnessed the end of this drama through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The laughter in the office became smaller. Orochimaru. The clone has already been sent, teacher. Orochimaru responded with a smile. Children today are so energetic. Third generation exclaimed. And he's really brave. White Fang said with a smile, my kid doesn't have the courage, haha. This is also the result of lack of education, Tsukumo senpai. Hyuga Hiyashi was the only one who didn't hold back his smile. He said in a serious tone, if this child continues like this and becomes a ninja in the future, he will cause a big disaster sooner or later. You're still young, Hiyashi. White Fang waved his hand. Dong dong dong. Third generation knocked on the table. Okay, let's continue, everyone. Compared to this child, Iwagakure and Kumogakure are obviously more dishonest. I told you everything. Lord Hokage was not kidnapped, he is having a very important meeting. Kid, don't look at me like that. Do you know how much trouble you got into today? If it weren't for your young age, you would be dead by now. Orochimaru-sama, you are here. The arrival of Orochimaru interrupted this, law popularization, education. Ruahuo, who was bound and sealed by the 5 flowers, immediately calmed down. Why is this guy Orochimaru here? You can't pretend anymore, it would be too much. By the way, Orochimaru in this period doesn't seem to be a scientist, right? Human experiments have not yet started, and it has not evolved into a slutty snake. As the only Sannin who lives in Konoha, Orochimaru seems to be the most popular candidate to succeed Hokage. Leave this child to me first, Orochimaru said calmly. Yes, the Anbu respectfully agreed and closed the door when he left. It seems you know who I am, kid, can you rest assured now? With a smile on his face, Orochimaru untied the rope from Ruahuo's body and took off the cloth from Ruahuo's mouth. Quote. Ruahuo said nothing and nodded. The smile on Orochimaru's face was even bigger, and he looked very much like Jin-san's teacher before he awakened, with max gentleness. But after awakening, tisk tisk. I just learned about some situations. You want to graduate early, right? Ruahuo nodded again, still saying nothing, and then took out the application form again. Orochimaru didn't answer. You can hand it over to Master Hokage yourself and confirm with your own eyes that he has not been kidnapped. Orochimaru reached out and wanted to touch Ruahuo's little head. Ruahuo instinctively dodged. Anyone, no one can touch his head. Orochimaru put his hands in the air, not annoyed. Relax, kid, you didn't hurt anyone, you didn't cause much damage, no one will blame you. Tell you a secret. Orochimaru took back his hand and smiled again. Actually, I've wanted to do this for a long time. Quote. Ruahuo believed this sentence. Teacher Omu feels that his career is really coming to an end. His student had done something very serious. Playing hooky, fighting, not doing homework. That little guy bombed the Hokage building. That's where Lord Hokage works. After receiving the notice, Mr. Oki rushed to the Hokage building. Looking at the dark wall, Teacher Omu was sweating like rain. It's fire style, yes. When I arrived at Hokage's office, I heard a familiar voice before I even entered. That technique was taught to me by the patriarch yesterday. I just learned it. This voice is like fire, which is correct. So none of this is a prank. The meteorite in Teacher Omu's heart finally fell. Perfect. 12 years of teaching career finally come to an end today. Oh, so when you shouted, "Will of fire," before activating ninjutsu, was it also taught to you by the Fugaku clan leader? That's not true, it was taught by Mr. OMU. Quote quote. The big wooden head crossed the question mark, has he ever taught you? Teacher OMU said that the will of fire is the source of power passed down from generation to generation of Konoha ninjas. As long as you have the will of fire in your heart, Konoha will be invincible. Yes, he seems to have really said this. It's not like it seems, but it's definitely because this is the first lesson in History of Konoha, a required course in the ninja school. Teacher Ogi is right, third generation said in a satisfied tone. Teacher OMU suddenly felt that his teaching career could still be saved. Actually, I thought Teacher OMU was a liar at first. Omu's eyes twitched. It wasn't until I used fire style on those two spies today that I truly felt the power of the will of fire. That technique is super difficult. I only learned it after opening Sharingan. I had always struggled to activate it before. When facing the enemy, I found that my chakra seemed to have increased, and the formation of seals became faster, and then... Spy, enemy, Teacher Oki was wondering, wasn't Wakaki the Hokage building bombed? How come we have to face the enemy? Third generation also asked Omu's doubts. But Xiao Ruahuo, why do you think those two ninjas can be spies? It can be heard that the third generation project is also very puzzled. Why is this kid so persistent when it comes to spies? So what happened? Because they have great hostility towards Uchiha. Ruahuo's voice was much louder. The Konoha Security Department is an important organization that maintains the stability of Konoha. Uchiha's duty is to protect Konoha. Those two guys thought they were hiding it well, but when I showed them the application form, their feet were still exposed. Under normal circumstances, if you see the Patriarch's signature, you will definitely inform Grandpa Hokage, right? Third generation responded thoughtfully. That's right, Teacher OMU also agreed in his heart. But they didn't, Ruahuo said excitedly, they told me to leave quickly and said they wouldn't let me in. This must be a sign of guilty conscience. They must be doing some unknown bad things and are afraid of being discovered by me. I, Uchiha, hate evil very much. When faced with this situation, of course I will act like fire style who is infused with the will of fire, and move forward courageously. Although Grandpa Hokage was not kidnapped, these two must be bad guys. Grandpa Hokage, don't worry. When I go back and report to the clan leader, I will capture them and take them to the Konoha Security Department. I will be able to torture them for information. Quote. Third generation fell silent. This little guy's logic is impeccable, but something feels wrong. No, this little guy seems to have nothing wrong with anything except logic. Just talking about Hokage being kidnapped in the Hokage building. Without any imagination, I'm afraid I can't come to this conclusion at all. Moreover, third generation has reason to suspect that there seems to be something wrong with this child's understanding of the will of fire. It can only be said that he is still a child after all. I'm getting old and can't keep up with my thoughts. Dong dong dong. Teacher OMU finally knocked on the office door. Enter. Third generation Kaido. Teacher OMU walked in and found that in addition to Wakahui and Hokage-sama, Orochimaru-sama was also there. Hokage-sama, Orochimaru-sama. Daiki bowed. Hello, Teacher OMU. Ruahuo greeted obediently. Damu, I asked you to come here because I want to know about this child's condition. Third generation got straight to the point and spoke in a gentle tone, this child wants to apply for graduation early. What do you think? Damu was stunned for a moment, so Master Hokage didn't want to hold him accountable for his dereliction of duty. Ruahuo's grades are excellent in all aspects. OMU organized the vocabulary a little and reported, yesterday's proficiency test, Ruahuo was the first in the class. In the usual actual combat test, Ruahuo also ranked among the best. His basic ninja skills are very solid. Ruahuo is still the monitor of the first-year class, and the classmates in the class trust him, but if you want to graduate early. Teacher OMU paused, I think we still need to seek the opinions of Ruahuo's parents. Omu's answer was very formulaic. Ruahuo felt that if he talked more about class popularity, wouldn't that be a bonus? As that's so, third generation glanced at the application form, Fugaku's signature plus private seal plus official seal. This parent seems to have a strong desire to see Ruahuo graduate. Okay, then let's arrange the assessment for early graduation for Xiao Ruahuo, said the third generation project. Yes, Teacher Omu accepted the order. Come this way, Daiki Chunin. Orochimaru raised his hand and left the Hokage office with Daiki. Third generation glanced at Ruahuo. The little guy still had a serious look on his face, and third generation seemed to be seeing an old friend in his childhood. They are all very serious types. Third generation instinctively wants to smoke a cigarette. But considering that the child was still in the office, I pursed my lips and decided to endure it. Xiao Ruahuo. Third generation put down his pipe. Can you tell Grandpa that applying for early graduation is the intention of the patriarch or your own? It's my own decision, Grandpa Hokage. Ruahuo answered quickly. I have studied all the textbooks in ninja school on my own, and Mr. Oki has nothing left to teach me. I went to Clan Chief Fugaku for help. After he taught me all the fire-style ninjutsu, he couldn't give me much guidance. My talent is so great, Grandpa Hokage. Ruahuo looked serious, so I think it's time to become a ninja and shine for the village. Konoha, you need me. Omu, I've heard this before. Ouch. At this moment, third generation was really surprised by Ruahuo's blood and belief. Although they have entered old age, who has not chased the scorching sun or run under the sunset? Xiao Ruahuo, you make Grandpa feel a little passionate. When leaving the Hokage building, Ruahuo was somewhat depressed. A lot happened this morning. I dealt with 2 defensive ninjas who looked down on others. Due to the novice protection period, they have not been held accountable. The matter of early graduation has also been put in place. If nothing happens, he will be able to have double Magatama on Monday. But I'm here to gather wool. Ruahuo turned his head and glanced at the Hokage building, where the floor-to-ceiling windows were located on the 2nd floor. Is it because I'm not good enough? Or is it that third generation has compromised on Fugaku's caution? He hinted so clearly that Fugaku no longer has fire style to guide him. You, the majestic Professor Ninjutsu, are not allowed to express your opinions. But it's okay, you can take advantage of others' shortcomings and take advantage of others' softness. Since there is no emotion at all, then when we meet on the battlefield in the future, I don't have to miss our old friendship. Ruahuo had no expression on his face and had to continue walking forward. But he soon realized an issue that had to be considered. By the way, who will be my mentor ninja? I didn't see Minato today either. It can't be Orochimaru, right? Haha. Ruahuo smiled and shook his head. If he really wants Orochimaru to be his guiding ninja, it will be really exciting then. Lesson 1. On the development and use of curse seals and pillar cells. Lesson 2. On the efficient way to destroy Konoha. Lesson 3. On the inheritance issue of 4th Hokage. What do you think of this kid, Orochimaru? In the Hokage building, looking at the figure of the young man who was shaking his head and moving away, third generation looked at the smoke gun and asked. Very vigilant, amazing talent, but lacking some common sense. Orochimaru also looked at that figure, his eyes full of interest. Don't you often say that common sense is the prejudice formed by a ninja over time? Indeed, sensei. Orochimaru smiled meekly. What this child did today may seem a bit childish in both the results and the process, but I will not deny his starting point. Third generation didn't respond. He took a puff of cigarette and motioned for Orochimaru to continue. This kid has a strong sense of justice. It should have something to do with the environment in which he grew up. The Uchiha clan is in charge of the Konoha security department, and their behavior has always been clean and neat, which can even be said to be inhumane. This child is influenced by what he sees and hears, and his thoughts are influenced by his clan members. He is very vigilant and decisive. What happened today seems to be this child's mischief, but if the scene were changed, this child's nonsense may really prevent a tragedy. Quote. Third generation puffed out smoke, and the smoke obscured his eyes, and even the reflection in the mirror could not be seen clearly. At this moment, no one can guess what third generation is thinking. Until after a short silence. I'm glad to hear you praise me again, Orochimaru. Then I will leave this child to you. Teach him well. I have a hunch that this child may be the key to changing the relationship between Konoha and Uchiha in the future. Just like the rope tree back then. Third generation kept the last words in their hearts. At that time, Senju had a tense relationship with the village because of a member of the Hokage. The rope tree became Senju's hope for reconciliation with the village. He handed the rope tree to his best disciple Orochimaru, hoping that one day everything would be restored to its original state. Pity. The child full of sunshine died on the battlefield after all. Since then, Orochimaru has undergone some changes. To this day, the Senju clan disappeared, and the conflicts of the past turned into smoke of the past. The relationship between Uchiha and the village has gradually become tense, and the gaps have always been there and are getting deeper day by day. I hope this kid can also help Orochimaru come out. Third generation puffed out smoke. This will be a complementary process. The will of fire in this child is a bit too hot. But that's exactly what Orochimaru lacks. Don't think that you can get the Hokage's position just by agreeing with me, Orochimaru. Do you think that just saying something like this can prove that you are the most suitable person? I understand, teacher. At this time, Orochimaru's rank was still one level lower than that of third generation. Although he hid the joy in his heart very well, he didn't know that the teacher had already seen everything. Is it the key to reconciliation between Uchiha and the village? If he can solve this problem perfectly, Sensei, it's time to pass the Hokage on to him, right? Lord Patriarch, I caught 2 spies today. After Wakahui left the Hokage building, he went straight to the Konoha security department. After all, he is the head of his family, so he still needs to report. And you can save money on a meal. Spy, sitting by the small lake. Looking at Wakahui who was destroying his lunch box, Fugaku had an ominous premonition. Yesterday's incident is still fresh in my mind. Is this kid going to encounter a drunkard or something like that again and get into a fight? What kind of spy are you talking about? Is it a ninja, or? When asked this question, Fugaku also felt that something was not right. Although attacking civilians may be serious, if this kid encounters a spy nin, it will be even more dangerous, right? Of course he is a ninja, Mr. Patriarch. Ruahuo slurred with a rice ball stuffed in his mouth, but his brain is not very good. I used the ninjutsu you taught me yesterday, the not-so-serious Gohuoke, and subdued them in one go. So we really met a spy ninja. Fugaku perked up. Where did you meet him? Were you alone? Did they run away? You weren't hurt, right? Master Patriarch, you underestimate me too much. I said I caught them, how could I let them run away? Ruahuo said unhappily. There were many Anbu present at the time. We sent them directly to Konoha Hospital. I'm fine. That's it. Fugaku was a little disappointed. It's a pity that Ruahuo is not a member of the Konoha Security Department. Doesn't the Konoha Security Department lose a contribution in vain? So where exactly did you meet the spy ninja? In the Hokage building. The Hokage building, no wonder Anbu moves so well. Fugaku paused, his face stiffened. Which Hokage building? It's where Grandpa Hokage works. Ruahuo said matter-of-factly, taking another rice ball with him. Those 2 spies were disguised as guards of the Hokage building, and I found out. I thought they kidnapped Grandpa Hokage and just roasted them using fire style. Grandpa Hokage also praised me, but those Anbu uncles kept saying that I got into trouble. It's really strange. Fugaku was silent. Wakaki destroyed the rice balls while admiring Fugaku's expression. One thing to say, if this continues, I feel that Fugaku may take the blame and resign in the next few years. But this time, they're right. If you were more proficient in fire style, you would really get into trouble, Ruahuo-kun. A voice appeared behind the 2 people, hoarse and charming. Orochimaru Senpai. Fugaku stood up and nodded in salute. Long time no see, Chief Fugaku. Orochimaru smiled and nodded. I'm here to see this kid. He submitted an application to graduate early, and I will be his examiner. And if he passes the assessment, he will also become my disciple. This time, it was Ruahuo's turn to be silent. Why is this so? Why? Kakashi graduated early, and his mentor was Minato. When he gets here, he becomes Orochimaru. He has shown such a high talent, is he still inferior to Kakashi? Just ask Kakashi yourself, who is the number one in the first grade. Wakahuo really doesn't understand what third generation is thinking. Do you think Orochimaru can't destroy Konoha and let Uchiha help? Damu Chunin told me that your theoretical knowledge is very solid, and you even got full marks in the thorough examination. So I suggested skipping the theoretical knowledge assessment and going directly to the practical assessment. Ruahuo Lord, do you have confidence? Orochimaru stood in the training ground with his hands behind his back. Fugaku, who only had a small rice ball for lunch, was a spectator. Ruahuo pursed his lips. Although I know that Orochimaru has not yet awakened, he is definitely not as gentle as he seems. Orochimaru is good at disguise. And now, his biggest goal is to become the fourth Hokage. Are you planning to use Uchiha's power? But if you get too close to Uchiha, it will be detrimental to your election for Hokage, right? Does this mean the purpose of third generation? Then who am I, a tool? A double, triple agent? Ruahuo took a breath, temporarily put away his distracting thoughts, raised his two fingers, and formed the seal of opposition. You are very confident, Wakahuo-kun. Orochimaru smiled and formed the seal of opposition cooperatively. Just when Fugaku was wondering whether he should help start the call. If the fire moves, whoosh whoosh. First, shoot several shurikens together, and at the same time move the fingers of both hands to quickly form seals. Fire-style dragon flame technique. Ode. High-temperature flames spurt out from Wakahuo's mouth, and combined with the shuriken formation, the attack is fierce. Orochimaru's eyes were full of interest. Look at the scale of this attack. Even the shuriken skills are so good, there is a shot hidden in the blind spot of vision. You seem to be holding back today, kid. I saw Orochimaru taking half a step back to avoid the hidden shuriken, and at the same time, he quickly formed seals with his hands. Wind escape great breakthrough. Call. The wind is howling. Boom. Fire and wind collide. Ruahuo immediately felt the pressure. Orochimaru would definitely not take the test he was destined to pass seriously, but it was just the tip of the iceberg, and it was an unprecedented challenge for him. You know, if this person is ruthless, he can scare the piss out of Kakashi with just one look. But under such circumstances, Ruahuo suddenly became happy. Because under Sharingan's capture, the system prompted again. Ninjutsu type. Sea level wind escape great breakthrough. When the Son of Flame effect is triggered, you can learn all escape techniques, but all escape techniques activated will be replaced by flames. Successfully learn ninjutsu. Fire style great breakthrough. After upgrading from the little genius of fire style to Son of Flame, the learning conditions seem to have been cleared directly, and even the system prompts have been streamlined a lot. If you can't find anything from third generation, then you can harvest it from your disciples. Ruahuo grinned, took the initiative to stop the release of the dragon flame technique, ran quickly, and at the same time, formed seals with his hands again. What is this seal? Fugaku was shocked again. This was the seal Orochimaru had just made. Has this kid learned it again? Wind escape great breakthrough. If the fire has a shape, ninjutsu is released, but what comes out of the mouth is not violent wind, but flames. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Fugaku was shocked again. Why is this Feng done so angry? Was it a deliberate mistake? Tactics. It's printed right. Interesting. Orochimaru's eyes became more interested. He could see clearly too. Relying on those eyes, the child successfully copied his technique with just one glance. But the same seal turned into fire-style ninjutsu. Whoosh. Orochimaru did not respond this time, but chose to avoid it. He needs to carefully observe this technique, and even more carefully observe this child. Temperature, form. This is indeed a fire style, and it also retains the speed and impact of wind style. Little guy, you're scaring me a little now. From Orochimaru's point of view, the wind release Wakaki just released is definitely no less than a combination of ninjutsu. Orochimaru would also be pleasantly surprised if this kid really made the team ninjutsu. What kind of talent does one have to have such a difficult chakra control skill at this age? But the truth is even more horrifying than that. This kid uses a wind release seal, but while retaining most of its characteristics, releases a fire-style ninjutsu. This is Orochimaru's knowledge blind spot. And exploring the unknown is the most dazzling mark in Orochimaru's soul. Orochimaru looked at Ruahuo again, but saw that the child also looked puzzled. He glanced at Fugaku's reaction again, which was also mixed with surprise and suspicion. Is this the first time I've discovered it? Orochimaru pursed his lips. Looks like I need to change my location. Whoosh. Orochimaru disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already at Wakahui's side. Can I use the technique just now again, if Huo turns around plus whips his legs, there will be a big whirlwind in Konoha. Boom. Orochimaru blocked it with one hand, looking a little confused. However, Ruahuo retreated immediately after failing to hit the target. After landing, he took a breath and looked serious. Orochimaru suddenly understood. What a persistent little guy. Congratulations, you have passed the test, Lord Ruahuo. I don't believe it. Ruahuo remained unmoved. It's not that easy to become a ninja. You must want me to let my guard down. Master Orochimaru, I am no longer a 3-year-old child, this tactic is useless to me. Quote. The smile on Orochimaru's face froze. But soon, he thought of something, smiled and shook his head, then took off his forehead protector, and raised his fingers to form the seal of reconciliation. I was negligent, Lord Ruahuo. This is your forehead protector. Put it on and you will become a ninja of Konoha. Seeing the obviously relaxed expression on Ruahuo's face, Orochimaru suddenly felt that he had gradually mastered the correct way of communicating with this little genius. But what Orochimaru doesn't know is, ding, family mission, C, in the name of Uchiha, become the chief student of Konoha Ninja School and break the early graduation record, half a year. Square root. Obtain C-level family reward. C-level main skill slot 1. Main skill slot, C-level, select a C-level skill and bind it to the natal skill slot. This skill can be greatly enhanced and gain exclusive characteristics, can be pre-tested. Every time you complete a family task, you can unlock the main skill slot of the corresponding level. Personal skill template has been unlocked, click to view. Your Sharingan has been upgraded to Double Magatama Sharingan. Orochimaru had already walked over. Ruahuo was not in a hurry to read the reward content, took the forehead protector and put it on his head. From today on, he is a glorious Konoha ninja. Congratulations, Lord Ruahuo. Fugaku also came over, the smile on his face looked friendly. Since the establishment of the ninja school, you may be the fastest student to become a ninja. To be able to become Mr. Orochimaru's disciple. To be honest, I'm a little envious of you. Quote. Ruahuo sighed, not looking very happy. Fugaku. Even though it's just a scene, you don't need to drop the price like this, right? Fugaku wasn't much older than Minato. Judging from his age and seniority, Orochimaru can indeed become Fugaku's teacher. But you are the leader of a clan. How can you be the leader of a clan if you don't have any skills? It's not like Ruakaya can't understand Fugaku's current attitude. Orochimaru is now very popular in Konoha. Before Minato became the Golden Flash, Sannin Cold Lord Orochimaru was really the most popular candidate for the 4th Hokage. Fugaku must have valued this relationship. Think about it, if Orochimaru becomes the Hokage, wouldn't Uchiha become a Hokage family with him as a Hokage disciple as a bridge? But Uchiha, when did it become necessary to become a subsidiary family of the Hokage line? The Hokage's position is right there, why don't you find a way to grab it? Fine. In view of Uchiha's current situation and overall strength, it is understandable that Fugaku should be more diplomatic. But there is one thing to say. Brother Fugaku. Ruahuo said seriously, thank you for teaching me those ninjutsu. Without your guidance, I might not be able to pass the exam today. Thanks. Quote. Fugaku was a little confused. What, did you just call me Brother Fugaku? Wakahui shrugged. Orochimaru-sama is my teacher, and you are my teacher's junior, so aren't we equals? If you want to become Master Orochimaru's disciple, you will have to call me senior brother from now on. That doesn't seem appropriate. Ruahuo is thoughtful. Fugaku's face darkened. You still know it's not appropriate. I am your patriarch. When you asked me for an autograph yesterday, you still called me your patriarch. In this way, let's talk about our own affairs. I'll call you eldest brother, and you'll call me senior brother. When I go on missions from now on, my grandma and 2 younger brothers will ask Brother Fugaku. Quote. Fugaku was silent. Why didn't I realize this before? How could this kid be so hateful? Orochimaru smiled and said nothing. You should call me clan leader, Lord Ruahuo. Fugaku shook his head. Quote. All right. Ruahuo nodded. After 2 more years of calling me, it will be your turn to call me clan leader. Okay, Lord Ruahuo, there are still many procedures to go through after passing the assessment. Let's do it all today while it's still early. Orochimaru finally spoke. Okay, teacher. Ruahuo changed his tune quickly. Fugaku's expression was still a little depressed, but he still patted Ruahuo on the shoulder and said in a grown-up tone. You have to study hard with Mr. Orochimaru and don't get into trouble again, you know. I understand, Brother Fugaku. Quote. Call me Patriarch. I understand, clan eldest brother. Follow Orochimaru all the way forward. The Uchiha tribe is far away from the Hokage building, but the Konoha security department is not that far away. Ruahuo is a bit strange. If there is any other process to become a genin, wouldn't it just be to get a ninja certificate? Look at the direction Orochimaru is walking. Why does it seem like a cemetery? It really is. Arriving at the entrance of the cemetery and looking at the neatly arranged tombstones from a distance, Ruahuo suddenly wanted to turn around and run away. Let's just say that Orochimaru at this time should not have awakened yet, right? However, Ruahuo still resisted the thought of running away. Because he probably knows Orochimaru's purpose. You just mentioned senior brother. I think it is necessary to introduce someone to you. Come with me, Ruahuo-kun. Walking left and right, Wakahui followed Orochimaru and stopped in an area with Senju in front of the name. As expected, on the tombstone in front of me, there is a photo covered with glass. It is of a teenage boy with a bright smile. It is Tsunade's younger brother, second-generation Naruto, Senju Nawaki. This is Orochimaru's first disciple. He is your senior brother who died in the Second Ninja War. Orochimaru knelt down and wiped the dust from the photo of the tree with a handkerchief. Say hello to your senior brother, Lord Ruahuo. Hello, senior brother. Ruahuo bowed in a standard manner. After thinking about it for a while, he took out a kunai from his ninja bag and placed it in front of the tombstone. This is our first meeting. I didn't prepare any gifts. This is the most precious thing in my body. Senior brother, please keep it. Orochimaru looked at the kunai in front of the tombstone and smiled. Your senior brother Shungshu has always had a great dream. He wants to be a Hokage, someone like the third-generation lord, who can protect Konoha. Orochimaru looked at Wakahuo. Wakahuo-kun, what is your dream? Is this a self-introduction session? Ruahuo pursed his lips, inexplicably remembering the self-introduction session between Kakashi and Team 7 on the rooftop. He's pretty much the same. But the location is not on the rooftop, but in the cemetery. Teammates and so on. One will be sacrificed, and the other will be temporarily suspended. Becoming a Hokage. I don't have the same ambition as my senior brother. Ruahuo thought for a moment and responded. Orochimaru's eyes flickered. Dreams and ambitions, although they are the same concept in his eyes, they are still very different to others. However, considering that everything here may be under the teacher's sight, Orochimaru decided to correct his new disciple. I just want to be the leader of the Uchiha clan, and concurrently serve as the head of the Konoha security department to protect the safety of Konoha. Ruahuo paused, but it's definitely not enough for Konoha to be stable, otherwise it wouldn't be fighting all the time. So I also want to make Uchiha bigger and stronger, create greater glory, go out of Konoha, and benefit the ninja world. Wakaka became more and more enthusiastic as he spoke, without giving Orochimaru a chance to speak. The reason why there are so many wars in the ninja world is that there is no recognized order. If there were a set of ninja laws that everyone could abide by, those who broke the law would be directly arrested, and the villages that broke the law would be directly burned by the will of fire. Then this ninja world will definitely be able to settle down. Anyway, Orochimaru is not a serious person, so what happened to him? This is also Wakahui's third 5-year plan, the Ninja World Security Department plan. Being a Hokage or something is too boring. A system like the ninja village should not exist. A group of ninjas gather together all day long. What else can they do besides fighting? How about having more children and more blessings? It would be better to formulate a set of order and the whole ninja world should abide by it. Be civilized, orderly, fair, harmonious and healthy. Of course, the final right of interpretation belongs to Uchiha Ruahuo. Orochimaru was silent. He didn't forget what he said before about wanting to correct Ruahuo. But after Ruahuo spoke of his grand dream, in the most innocent tone, Orochimaru found that he no longer knew how to speak. Become the leader of the Uchiha clan and protect the stability of Konoha. This sounds normal, and maybe the dream of every Uchiha boy. But, leading the Konoha security department to the ninja world, establish the laws of the ninja world, maintain the stability of the ninja world. Kid, you may not know that. Your dream is actually no different from ruling the ninja world. As for the dream of ruling the ninja world, it is probably the shadow of every village that has this thought. And the act of taking Uchiha out of Konoha seems to mean betraying the village. To put it mildly, it might be said that he is leaving the ninja village. But those senior executives don't think so, kid. What interests Orochimaru the most is Wakaka's interpretation of the will of fire. Those who violate the law should be burned to death by the will of fire. So you shouted the will of fire before activating ninjutsu. Is this what you meant? I have to say, your dream is really surprising, Mr. Ruahuo. Orochimaru asked. I'm curious, have you mentioned it to Chief Fugaku? Conquering the ninja world. Is this the child's naive idea, or is it a reflection of the ambition of Fugaku, the young clan leader? Even if the teacher's sight is not clearly perceived, Orochimaru, who has already designated himself as the fourth Hokage, is indeed acting with Hokage thinking. True, rather than inheriting the teacher's will of fire, he was more interested in inheriting the Hokage and possessing the highest authority in Konoha. But this does not prevent him from becoming a competent actor. No, Wakaka looked at Orochimaru seriously. I have always had a competitive relationship with Chief Fugaku, but his will of fire is much stronger than mine now. I can't expose my ambitions until I'm sure I can defeat him. Orochimaru choked. Such an answer was something he never expected. Well, this answer has some traces. After all, this child was just trying to discuss his own things with Fugaku. Orochimaru decided to change his way of thinking, otherwise he would feel a little unable to keep up with the child's brain circuit. Orochimaru-sensei, can you keep a secret for me? Ruahuo said suddenly. Of course, Orochimaru responded after a brief hesitation. I'm glad that you can tell the teacher about your dream. As a teacher, of course I support your dream and will keep it a secret for you. Wakahuo-kun, I look forward to the day when you become the leader of the Uchiha clan. The child is still young after all. After recognizing the reality, the declaration of dream may also change. As for this child's misunderstanding of the will of fire, Orochimaru thinks it looks good. After all, this will of fire also needs temperature, doesn't it? I feel relieved to hear that the teacher supports my dream. Ruahuo exhaled and said. Orochimaru smiled back. Then please help me, teacher, to submit the application for the Chunin assessment. Orochimaru's smile solidified slightly. Chunin assessment. Yes, by becoming a Chunin, my will of fire will become stronger. Orochimaru was stunned. What did he hear? Ruahuo looked at his fist and said seriously. I have learned all of Chief Fugaku's fire style, and with Chunin's will of fire, I can challenge Chief Fugaku. Don't worry, teacher, I won't let you down. As long as I can become a Chunin, I have a 20% chance of defeating the Fugaku clan leader. There was silence for a long time. Orochimaru discovered that it was not an easy task to keep up with this child's brain circuit. Let's just talk about the weird setting of will of fire. So what exactly did Omu Chunin teach? Wakao-kun. Orochimaru felt that it was indeed necessary to correct the misunderstandings in Ruahuo's thinking, otherwise communication might be very troublesome. The will of fire is a spirit and an inheritance, not. I know, Orochimaru-sensei. Ruahuo interrupted in a matter-of-fact manner. The will of fire is the source of power for Konoha ninjas. The stronger the will of fire, the stronger Konoha ninjas can become. Indeed, Orochimaru said patiently, but the strength of the will of fire depends on the heart, cannot be quantified, and has nothing to do with whether you become a Chunin or not. Orochimaru said seductively. Look, you just graduated from the ninja school and received a ninja forehead protector. Are there any particularly obvious changes? Of course. Ruahuo increased his volume. Teacher, I have clearly felt the changes. My will of fire has indeed become stronger. Orochimaru had a headache, but, teacher, look, Ruahuo stated the facts and directly showed to Magatama. After I became a ninja, I obviously felt that the will of fire has improved a lot, and even my eyes have become stronger. Quote. Looking at the double Magatama in Ruahui's eyes, Orochimaru suddenly felt a little less confident. He remembered that Ruahuo was just a single Magatama Sharingan just now, and he was just opening his eyes. Why do you evolve as soon as you put on a forehead protector? Recalling that during Ruahuo's assessment, he used the learned wind escape into fire style, something he hadn't had time to explore yet. Is this kid right? Orochimaru suddenly had this thought in his mind. Could it be that the quantifiable will of fire that Ruahuo believes really exists? Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly. So what exactly is this unknown force? Is there any limit to blood inheritance other than Uchiha Sharingan? Or maybe it's Sharingan's special ability? It would be nice if I could study it carefully. An inexplicable impulse quietly grew in Orochimaru's heart. Teacher, Ruahuo, who had not yet noticed that his voice was weaker. If you think I can't defeat the Fugaku clan leader, it's not like I can't challenge him later. But becoming a Chunin is the fastest way for me to obtain the will of fire now, so teacher. The teacher will help you, Ruahuo-kun. Orochimaru suddenly smiled and interrupted, as the teacher said, the teacher will support your dream. Now it was Ruahuo's turn to be a little confused. How can you be so easy to talk to? Wrong, teacher, just talk, can you please stop sticking your tongue out so long? Ruahuo felt like he had opened Pandora's box. And he has proof. Orochimaru took him to the training ground first. Wakahuo-kun, use your Sharingan to observe carefully. Orochimaru formed the seal in slow motion, but it was not fully activated and did not say what kind of technique it was. But the system responded. Ninjutsu type. Sea level wind escape and wind cutter. When the Son of Flame effect is triggered, you can learn all escape techniques, but all escape techniques activated will be replaced by flames. Successfully learned ninjutsu. Fire style Fugiri. An ordinary wind release ninjutsu. If fire knows, Orochimaru is about to start observing his talent of everything as fire style. Anyone who has gone to school knows this. First observe, then study, multiple comparisons, and repeated tests. Take a look, isn't this the most basic process of seeking knowledge as a scientist? Ruahuo will naturally not reject anyone who comes. He doesn't even want to hide the buff that he can learn ninjutsu in seconds. He is the heir to the will of fire, the next leader of the Uchiha clan and the head of the Konoha Security Department, and the future spokesperson of the Ninja World Security Department. If you don't have any talent, how can you make sense? Whoosh whoosh. Instead of being sprayed out of the mouth like other fire styles, several flaming blades appeared out of thin air one after another, with high temperature, slicing the air in front of Arankar. Wind release wind cut right pointing arrow fire style fire blade. Orochimaru didn't hide himself either. Thoughtfully, he took out his small notebook and quickly took notes. Then he pursed his lips and showed Ruahuo a brand new seal. However, there were a little too many seals this time, and Orochimaru was only displayed and not used. This jutsu may require a little more chakra. If you can't learn it, don't force it. Good teacher. Ruahuo is very positive. Fugaku also said similar words, and finally showed off all the fire style on his body. Orochimaru is a dignified cold lord who studies under Professor Ninjutsu. Even if he doesn't have all 5 escapes at this stage, and there are a lot of snake ninjutsu, it's enough for him to hide for a while, right? Ninjutsu type. B-level water style water dragon bullet. When the Son of Flame effect is triggered, you can learn all escape techniques, but all escape techniques activated will be replaced by flames. Successfully learned ninjutsu. B-level fire style water dragon bullet. Each of the 20 or so seals was pretty good, and Ruahuo was a little looking forward to it. What will be the effect of using fire style and water style? Ode. The air became extremely hot, and a flaming dragon appeared out of thin air. There is no target to attack, but it is hovering around Ruahuo. The scene is very exciting. It's just that the temperature seems a bit high. Ruahuo is a little bit melancholy. The water dragon bomb has indeed turned into a fire dragon bomb, but it seems that he can't imitate Terumime and fly on the fire dragon. On the other side, Orochimaru's expression became even weirder, and he once again took out his small notebook to record quickly. After recording, Orochimaru was not in a hurry to teach ninjutsu again, but took out a shuriken. Wakaho-kun, next I will teach you a very practical ninjutsu. It will be of great help to improve your will of fire. Okay. Ruahuo also wanted to take out a small notebook and record it. Orochimaru awakening progress, 10%. Closing square bracket. He's starting to fool people, and it feels like he's starting to get closer to the scammer he thought he was. Ninpo Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Orochimaru shouted this time, and the shuriken he threw split into 2 and 4 in an instant, and soon a shuriken curtain was formed. Same as learning Shadow Clone before. Because it is not an escape technique, the learning buff of Son of Flame cannot be triggered. This time the system did not pop up any prompts. But if fire has Sharingan, this looks like an A-level ninjutsu, right? The learning difficulty shouldn't be too high. After all, Orochimaru learned it just after graduation. Single quote. Can the learning conditions be seal formation speed, chakra reserve, shadow clone technique, shuriken throwing technique? Oh, you also have to have a shuriken. Single quote. Ruahuo took out a shuriken from his ninja tool bag, swung it in front of him, and quickly formed seals at the same time. Although he doesn't receive buffs, Ruahuo's talents are not all given by the system. Since Orochimaru could learn it as a child, he should also be able to meet the requirements. Ninpo Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Whoosh 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 whoosh. A shuriken was shot out and quickly split into countless shurikens in the air, forming a dense shuriken curtain. Ruahuo raised his eyebrows. He was indeed a genius. Oh, Orochimaru pursed his lips and took out a small notebook to quickly record. Ruahuo didn't move at all, and, obediently, had to stand in place, waiting for Orochimaru to take the initiative to give him the wool. And this scene became the epitome of the relationship between the master and the apprentice. It turns out, whether it is before awakening or after awakening, Orochimaru is a very qualified teacher. The 2 pillars have grown rapidly under Orochimaru's training. For Wakahui, Orochimaru is indeed the most suitable teacher for him right now. Although he has not yet awakened, Orochimaru's ideal has always been to learn all the arts, find the truth of the world, and obtain eternal life. This goal was born after Orochimaru saw too many deaths. It was only after he failed in the Hokage campaign that he magnified himself infinitely. Even if he did not hesitate to learn forbidden techniques, he had to overcome his fragile life. And now, by chance, Ruahuo, who showed off his talent wantonly, seemed to have opened the shackles of Orochimaru's heart invisibly. It's not much, but it's effective. In the following days, Orochimaru kept demonstrating the ninjutsu within his authority for Wakahui, trying to find the boundaries of Wakahui's ability. And Ruahuo naturally refuses to accept anyone who comes, and frantically increases his ninjutsu reserves. Of course, Orochimaru can't teach every day. As the only Sannin left in Konoha, he was no more leisurely than being a Hokage teacher. But Orochimaru will shadow clone. In addition to basic teaching and ninjutsu teaching, Orochimaru was not absent from every genin mission of Wakahui. This makes Wakahui's ninja life very fulfilling. Get up every day and run 20 kilometers to the Hokage building. Receive today's tasks and try to complete them in the morning. In the afternoon, there is special training for the Chunin assessment, the consolidation and learning of ninjutsu, as well as the teaching of basic ninja abilities. Well, although it is teaching, it is the teacher who takes notes. Get out of class ends in the evening, just in time to catch Obito from school. After training Obito and Shisui, and supplementing their nutrition with grilled fish and game, they went home and fell asleep. Occasionally, Orochimaru would give him a day off, and Wakaki would go to the Konoha security department to learn from his seniors. Especially Genjutsu, it will be of great use in the future. Life goes round and round, efficiently and richly. The days pass. Finally, this morning, Ruahuo got up, looked at the circle marked on the calendar, and smiled confidently. I have been practicing for so long. It's time to level up my will of fire. Some lies, if you keep telling them, you will believe them. Orochimaru, are you sure you want to do this? In the morning, the sun is shining brightly. Third generation put down the Chunin assessment application in his hand and looked at Orochimaru at the desk. Orochimaru had his long hair tied up today, and was wearing a green vest, a long sword on his back, handguards and leggings. As this child's teacher, I think he is ready to become a Chunin, sensei. Orochimaru's answer was spotless, but third generation shook his head and said, now is a special period. You should know what it means to be a Chunin. This kid has a special identity and his unprecedented fire-style talent. Are you sure you want to do this, Orochimaru? The same question takes on a deeper meaning. War, battlefield. In just 2 months, the fire left over from the Second Ninja War was quickly ignited like a prairie fire. After 10 years of recuperation, all countries and villages have restored their military strength. A new round of ninja war has broken out. It is foreseeable that this war will be more brutal, and no ninja village can survive alone. Becoming a Chunin at this time. As this child's teacher, I think this child is ready, teacher. Orochimaru replied with the same words. For Wakaho-kun, continuing to perform the genin mission is a waste of his talent and a loss to Konoha. This evaluation is not low, especially coming from Orochimaru. Third generation was a little surprised, but soon felt relieved. If Huo can, partially, learn escape techniques other than fire style, he can release them in the form of fire style. This was no secret among the top brass in Konoha. After all, no matter how high Orochimaru's authority is, it is not enough to teach Wakahuo so many ninjutsu privately. This requires Hokage authorization. God knows how surprised third generation was when they learned that Ruohuo had this ability. Using fire style to activate other escape techniques can still retain certain characteristics. This situation is unprecedented, and once it can be mastered, it may bring about changes in the entire ninja world. Therefore, the third generation project directly approved it at the time and authorized Orochimaru to observe the child's condition to see if this new way of activating ninjutsu could be found. Pity. According to Orochimaru's observation, this child's ability should come from his blood inheritance limit, Sharingan. Because every time this child activates this mutated fire style, it will cause a load on his eyes, making it impossible to maintain Sharingan open for a long time. Orochimaru calls this phenomenon mutated Sharingan, mutated blood inheritance limit. Obviously, this child's situation is unique. Even among the Uchiha clan, this is unheard of. And because of this, this child has become a popular genius in the Uchiha family. Once something unexpected happens on the battlefield. Let me think about it again. Third generation waved its hand, but still did not agree on the spot. Anyway, he has only graduated from ninja school 2 months ago, so it's still a bit too early. I understand, teacher. Orochimaru raised his 2 fingers, but if possible, please give the teacher a chance. That kid really wants to be a Chunin. As a teacher, I always have to support him. As soon as he finished speaking, Orochimaru's body turned into a white smoke and disappeared. It was a shadow clone. The battle has begun on the front lines. As a disciple of the Hokage, Orochimaru is going to perform an S-class frontline mission this time. Since it is an S-level mission, it goes without saying that it is dangerous. You choose to say this kind of thing at this time, ha. Third generation smiled and shook his head. Orochimaru has always been his proudest and best disciple. It was him who realized Orochimaru's talent and taught him what he is today. Third generation has long had the idea of letting Orochimaru succeed Hokage. If it weren't for personality reasons, maybe. It seems that this child is indeed affecting you, Orochimaru. Third generation looked at the Chunin assessment application form again. In the photo of the candidate above, the young man has a serious face and a pair of big, clear and determined eyes. Quote. Fine. As your teacher, I will always support you, Orochimaru. Snapped. The official seal belonging to the Hokage was stamped on it. Are you going to take the Chunin exam? Konoha Security Department. Fugaku holds the Ruahuo Chunin exam admission ticket. the surprise on his face has not dissipated. Well, Mr. Orochimaru felt that I was ready, so he submitted the Chunin assessment application to me before performing the mission, and Grandpa Hokage passed it. If nothing else happens, I will soon become a Konoha Chunin. Ruahuo replied in an understatement. As he said, it all went very smoothly. Orochimaru supported him in competing for the title of Uchiha clan leader. After 2 months of special training and observation, he helped him submit the application. Third generation really agreed. Of course, I don't agree that Ruahuo also has Plan B, which is nothing more than exercising the power of the clan leader in advance and using Fugaku's official seal. After passing the Chunin assessment, Ruahuo felt that various rewards were already waving towards him. 3 Magatama of the Will of Fire, B-level main skill slot, and B-level family mission rewards. The family rewards are unknown, but based on previous rewards, they shouldn't disappoint. Especially this main skill slot, the improvement of ninjutsu can be said to be completely transformed, even soaring into the sky. Because there is a good teacher. Wakahara currently has 25 C-level ninjutsu in reserve, which is a bit too much. Limited by the characteristics of fire style, most of these ninjutsu have overlapping functions, and only a few of them can really be used as conventional weapons. The main skill slot has a pre-test function, so Ruahuo tried it out one by one. Basically, it reduces consumption and increases power. But there is one exception, and that is the fire style that Ruahuo has mastered the longest and was the first to master, Great Fireball. Main skill 1, C-level, fire style Great Fireball. Main skill increase. Power up pointing arrow 200%, consumption down pointing arrow 50%, chakra consumption is minimum 10%. Main skill characteristics. Absolute control. You can control this ninjutsu form in any way except the activation method. Control ninjutsu form at will. There is a saying, according to Ruahuo's experiments, this feature alone is enough to replace most fire styles. Except, of course, mutated fire style. Although he didn't mind showing off his talents in front of Orochimaru, Wakahui wasn't stupid enough to hold anything back. In addition to pretending that it consumes a lot of money and pretending that you can't learn this operation. Wakaka often affects Orochimaru's observation records by reducing its power. The true power of most mutant fire styles far exceeds Orochimaru's evaluation. Plus Genjutsu who studied at Uchiha. Orochimaru's assessment of his strength is at least 70% behind. When traveling in the world, it's always good to keep a guard up. Okay, Fugaku returned the admission ticket to Ruahuo and patted Ruahuo on the shoulder. Come on, Wakahuo-kun, don't put any pressure. You are now the pride of the entire Uchiha, it doesn't matter even if you fail. Safety first. Fugaku meant these words. As a clan leader, he is sincerely concerned for his descendants. Especially this junior, he is still the #1 genius of the Uchiha clan. By the way, you don't seem to have any teammates, Wakahuo-kun. Fugaku finally discovered the problem. Don't worry, clan eldest brother. Ruakahuo stood on tiptoes and patted Fugaku on the shoulder. Fugaku's face darkened. I'm Orochimaru's disciple, and I'm Uchiha's #1 genius. I don't need any teammates or anything like that. If Huo confidently believes. Moreover, Mr. Orochimaru conducted special training for me for the Chunin assessment for 2 months. During this period, I have found a way to pass the level with 100% efficiency. Maybe by this time tomorrow, I will already be a Chunin. Early the next morning, Obito and Wakahara got up early to help Grandma work. When Taiyang clocked into work, Grandma had already prepared rice balls for 3 people. These rice balls are very large, and a normal adult can eat up to 2 of them. Brother, does it take many days to take the Chunin exam? Why do you bring so many rice balls? Obito, who was helping Wakahuo pack, said puzzled. Normally it takes a week. With the subsequent assessment, it may take 10 days. Wakaka thought about Kaido. During this special period, the scale of Konoha's Chunin assessment will be much smaller. There is definitely no joint exam, and those taking the exam are all genin from Konoha. There was only 1 day's rest between the second and third assessments. This was what Orochimaru told him before leaving. It's been so long, that's not right. Obito's eyes widened. Brother, what you brought is definitely not enough, take mine too. No need, Obito. Ruahuo rubbed Obito's spiky head. To be on the safe side, Ruahuo really planned to pass the test at the speed of light. And in order to prevent accidents, such as clearly defeating the opponent, but being judged as not having Chunin's strength, Ruahuo was actually preparing to eliminate all his opponents in the second game. If there is no opponent, he can always advance automatically, right? The location of the exam room for the first exam was a bit off. Starting from the Uchiha tribe, we basically crossed the entire Konoha and came to the other side of Konoha. The examination room is a one-story building that looks like an abandoned factory, with a forest at its back and a makeshift sign in front. Chunin Assessment Examination Hall. Not to mention, it really feels like taking the college entrance examination in my previous life. But Ruahuo, who thinks he has been successfully conveyed, certainly does not have any psychological burden. Kakashi was able to pass the test at the age of 6. Itachi even passed the test on his own. With his current strength, he wouldn't be afraid even if these two guys were together. The one looking at the gate is Hyuga. Tisk, he's still rolling his eyes. Then plan A won't work, I'm afraid. Perhaps because there was a war on the front line, Ruahuo saw many Hyuga people at the entrance and inside of the examination room. They all rolled their eyes and glanced back and forth in all directions, maybe to prevent spies from getting in. The Chunin assessment is indeed equivalent to the ninja world's version of the college entrance examination in a sense. Now is a special period, so it is normal to be stricter. Fortunately, I didn't choose Hyuga at the start, otherwise I might have had a hard time escaping my life as a security guard. Ruahuo walked into the examination room muttering. He originally wanted to use the transformation technique to disguise himself as Orochimaru. You can go in and find any excuse to send people away, saying that the location of the examination room has changed, or simply announcing that these people have been eliminated. Anyway, with Orochimaru's current status, there are really not many people in Konoha who dare to disobey. It doesn't matter if you're discovered, it's not a violation. But with so many cataracts staring at him, Ruahuo thought it was better to forget it. He had a plan B anyway. Entering the classroom-like examination room, the examiner was not there. Ruahuo took a look around and found that there were quite a lot of people. Most of them are teenagers aged 11 or 12, who are in their youth and considered fresh graduates. There are also uncles who look like they are in their 30s, with watermelon heads, eyebrows, and eyes twice as big. What the hell? Ruahuo's eyes twitched. Isn't this Mad Dai? Why is this guy here too? That's right, as a 10,000-year-old genin with the buff of never giving up, fighting against repeated defeats should be his style. Well, a talent like this may become my loyal partner, Uchiha. Then maybe plan B can be changed. Ruahuo randomly found a seat and sat down, and began to make plans in his mind. Plan B. Seize the exit in the second assessment and eliminate all candidates. Mad Dai will definitely resist, and this guy is definitely no match for his genjutsu. After all, Mater Dai doesn't have a lifelong enemy with Sharingan. But the 8 Gates dungeon and various steel fist physical skills on this guy are still very valuable. When he becomes the clan leader, he can popularize this practice in Uchiha. Let the Uchiha tribesmen who lack talents also have a certain fighting ability. Uchiha is so lucky to have a clan leader like me in the future. Ruahuo thought. The examiner never showed up. The candidates gradually lost their control. They were all ninjas from Konoha. Many of them knew each other and whispered to each other. The examination room gradually became noisy. Hey, Uchiha. A young ninja came to Ruahuo and asked, "Why are you sitting here alone? Where are your teammates?" "I don't need teammates," Ruahuo replied coolly. The young ninja's expression suddenly became strange. Hey. I thought you were the type who doesn't grow taller. How do you listen to your voice? How old are you?" Wakahuo glanced at him and carried out the aloofness of the Uchiha clan to the end. "None of your business, you brat." The young ninja was about to have a fit, but suddenly, a burly examiner walked in. "Quiet, everyone." The examiner's voice is also very rough, the type that can scare children into tears. The entire examination room suddenly became quiet. The burly examiner scanned the entire audience with his ferocious eyes, and looked at Ruahuo for 2 more seconds, seemingly a little surprised that there were such young candidates. "Distribute the test papers now." The assessment time is 10 minutes. The time starts from now on. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire examination room suddenly exclaimed. 10 minutes. It should be a quick answer question, right? Why is it different from last year? There are also those who seek advice from Mad Dai. Daesong, you have participated in so many assessments, do you have similar experience? Mad Dai scratched his head. Sorry, I was basically eliminated in the first game, so. Cut. Ruahuo sat near the front and got the test paper first. The content of the test paper also surprised him. Except for the fields for filling in personal information, this entire test paper is actually a blank paper. Other candidates soon discovered this as well. There are no exam questions. How to write this? Is this how difficult the Chunin test is? Did the test questions appear in places I ignored? I know, this must be Genjutsu. Solution. I'll solve it again. Looking at the mess of candidates, the examiner finally gave a cruel smile. The moment you step into this examination room, the examination has already begun. The content of this assessment is to test your intelligence gathering abilities. Limited to this examination room, including me, write all the information you can collect, including your name, blood type, ninjutsu you are good at, etc., into the examination paper. Your information is in the hands of the examiner. 1 point will be added for each correct entry, and 1 point will be deducted for each incorrect entry. Only those whose team's total score exceeds 20 points can participate in the next assessment. After the examiner finished explaining the rules, he paused deliberately, looked at his watch, and grinned. Now, you only have 8 minutes left. Monkey, why did you change the test questions I gave without authorization? In the Hokage office, Danzo, who was watching the exam scene in the crystal ball with the third generation project, asked. It hasn't changed much, Danzo. Third generation took a puff of cigarette and said calmly. What kind of information is name and blood type? You also lowered the total score by half. Danzo frowned. There is also the penalty item for intelligence exposure, why didn't you include it? This is the Chunin assessment, Danzo. The third generation was also a little displeased. Your standards are too strict and are not friendly to candidates from rich families. This in itself is a risk that rich ninjas have to bear. Danzo argued. Okay, I won't argue with you. Third generation waved his hands. Didn't I also shorten the assessment time? The effect is almost the same. This kind of assessment is meaningless. I think it's better to just cancel it. Quote. Third generation didn't respond and continued to smoke and watch the live broadcast. Danzo stared at third generation coldly for a while, snorted coldly and stopped talking. A minute passed. You didn't delete my rule that allows for on-site torture of intelligence, right? Danzo asked coldly. There's this rule. Now it was third generation's turn to sit still, why didn't I see it? Does this need to be written down deliberately? Isn't it normal to torture intelligence under extreme conditions? You have gone too far, Danzo. They are all children of Konoha, and you let them torture their own companions. You are too weak, monkey. This is the world of ninjas, there are no companions, only tasks. I am the Hokage. Danzo, I disagree. HMPH. You will regret it sooner or later, monkey. Quote. After a fierce confrontation, the two glared at each other for 30 seconds, then sat down again in tacit agreement and continued to look at the crystal ball. Fortunately, in the examination room of the crystal ball, there was no situation where the candidates tortured the candidates. And what makes the third generation project very gratified is that even so, there are still several candidates who have begun to submit papers in advance. These children all understand the importance of intelligence. Not bad, not bad. Third generation took a puff of cigarette happily, as if the unhappiness just now had never happened. HMPH. Danzo snorted coldly. The third generation program switches the screen to another examination room. And the situation here is somewhat special. Xiao Ruahuo. Third generation looked at the figure in front of the podium and always had an ominous premonition. Uchiha. Danzo also stared at that figure, recalling the information about this Uchiha brat in his mind. In the examination room, Ruahuo looked at the examiner with a serious face, and every hair on his small head was screaming dissatisfaction. Why do you give me 0 points? Just because I am the examiner. The burly examiner shouted, you wrote 20 konoha ninjas on the test paper, what kind of intelligence is this? Why is this not intelligence? Ruahuo also raised his voice, aren't they konoha ninjas? Could they be ninjas from other ninja villages? Ruahuo argued, isn't this kind of information important on the battlefield? Don't you need to identify the enemy before taking action? You should give me 20 points. I advise you to go back and rewrite it immediately, otherwise the whole team will be eliminated directly. Ruahuo's voice was loud, but his childish voice sounded inexplicably joyful to the examiner. This little guy. Third generation smiled and shook his head, his face wrinkled like an old chrysanthemum. It seems that Orochimaru is destined to be disappointed. Such an answer obviously cannot pass the first assessment. But that's fine. Although the current war is tense, Konoha is far from needing children to go to the battlefield. There is no harm in letting such a little guy stay in the village for a few more years. However, I think this Uchiha brat is right, monkey. Danzo said suddenly. Third generation was stunned for a moment, looking at Danzo with doubts, and then gradually became sharper and his expression became serious. He is still a child, Danzo. Third generation said solemnly, you'd better not have any dangerous ideas. Old friends for many years, you know my strengths and weaknesses, and I know your depths. Third generation, who probably knew what Danzo was thinking, immediately warned. And he is Orochimaru's disciple, so it's not your turn to interfere. I'm just discussing things, monkey. Danzo's expression was indifferent, completely different from the grumpy old man before. This brat Uchiha is right. On the battlefield, before launching any action against the enemy, you must at least confirm the identity of the enemy. His answer really deserves points. Danzo narrowed his one eye and said, this is also your negligence, monkey. Under my rules, points will be deducted for candidates whose information is wrong, so even if every candidate writes such an answer, they will not get one more point. You changed my rules without authorization, which caused such loopholes to appear. You must take full responsibility. Danzo's words are well-founded and the logic is very clear. But third generation remained unmoved from beginning to end. He looked at Danzo with sharp eyes, two eyes facing each other, constantly putting pressure on Danzo. I say again, he is still a child and Orochimaru's disciple, Danzo. You'd better not try to trick him. This is a rule. Danzo was also unmoved and retorted, monkey, what are you afraid of? Is it me or Uchiha? You are too weak, monkey. Danzo shook his head. I'm Hokage, Danzo. Third generation shouted loudly. Danzo stood up, you will regret it, monkey. That's it. In the crystal ball, Ruahuo's childish voice appeared again. The two old men in front of and behind the desk were stunned for a moment and looked at each other, only to see that the examiner's expression was full of surprise. Since you know so much, then why did you answer the question like this just now? The examiner immediately reacted as soon as he finished speaking, did you just see it on the podium? You don't put the roster in place yourself, can you blame me? Ruahuo's nostrils turned upward, you said it yourself, all the information is in the hands of the examiner. If I don't ask you for information, who should I ask for it? The roster is quite complete, including names, blood types, zodiac signs, ninja numbers, and even instructor ninjas. Not bad. You can even fool me. The examiner sneered and took back Ruahuo's test paper. Congratulations, kid, you passed the test. Ruahuo straightened his forehead protector, ignored it, and walked out coolly. The examiner looked at Ruahuo's back, chuckled, looked at the time, and smiled ferociously at the candidates in the room. There's only 1 minute left, candidates. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.